Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's time for the J. Craig Podcast. Playing on headphones near you.
Happy Thursday, Jason Catron.
It is Thursday. Happy almost weekend, brother. What's happening?
Yes, the happy old weekend coming up.
It is. You got anything planned for the big weekend, man? Anything going on?
No, because all my days are kind of the same lately, so I might have a get-together on Sunday.
Okay.
Because I have friends who work, so I have the day off.
Oh, right. So, okay, good. So, and you can't watch any football, so you're just going to relax and... Can you watch football? Can you watch football?
You can totally watch football here, and you can go to the bar. There's American bars in San Jose.
Okay.
Oh, you can totally go. Like, I've gone, but I think I've told you this before. Like, I don't really get interested in the football season until around late November or December.
Okay.
Because that's when things have started to consolidate, and you get a sense of who's winning and who's not winning, and who should you watch and who you shouldn't watch.
Sure.
Because now it's kind of like they're kind of in practice mode and warming up. And it's like someone's like, they're like, oh, the AFC champions. Okay, they've got 2 wins.
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
One loss.
We're talking about the Lions, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So I don't get interested until, after Thanksgiving weekend is when I usually get interested.
Okay, that's towards the last quarter of the season.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Last couple weeks. All right, that's not bad. I mean, I watch less and less of it. I like watching the Lions, but I got out of fantasy football about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, it seems like. Yeah, probably 10 years ago. So I don't pay attention to all the games anymore because I don't care about the other athletes or the other stats, and I just simply watch the Lions. And that's frustrating because the Lions have always been so damn frustrating. But this has been a fun year so far. I like what I'm seeing from them as a
good. That's good.
They're looking better, right? But
Right.
yeah, but hey, man, I don't watch any sports at all. That these days, I don't mean at all, but very, very little sports.
Well, if you're watching less football, you're joining the rest of the nation because NFL ratings are down.
I heard that. And not even just football. It's just every sport to me. And I kind of think I figured it out today. I think I figured out why I don't like sports.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
I'm driving home today. I did a lot of driving today. So I listen to a lot of sports radio only because I don't watch sports. I like to see at least what's going on with my sports teams. Right. So, and then it keeps me abreast on what's going on there, and then some of them talk about other things too. So, but I listened to this one station here in Michigan, and okay, so in New York, I think yesterday, a 2-year-old got hit with a foul pitch or a foul ball at Yankee Stadium, and went to the hospital, intensive care. I think he or she's going to be okay, but there was all this debate about now they're going to have some safety protocol in place. And they were pretty close up to the wall, up to the front row, if not the front row. And it was a 2-year-old. And so all these people start calling in, and this is what dawned on me. Sports fans are fucking idiots. And they're assholes.
Well, if you think about, to me, sports is just another form of entertainment. The way we love movies, other people love sports. Like, right. I get that. Yeah. I get it. But they're getting caught up in like real people's lives. Like, this guy did for this, and he went to this college, and he's that, and I'm like, that's just weird to me.
Well, okay, but isn't it the same way we do it for movies, like you say? We know where they maybe went to film school or.
But we're not
who they work with.
Every Sunday, we don't go to the cinema wearing like a Christopher Nolan T-shirt, and we've got like a British ball cap on, like where he came from, and like that. This didn't go.
Cover up your shirt.
It's very different. It's very like Star Wars. It's very different. Sports fans, it rolls me back into that whole when you got nothing else going on, your life sinks into this. You focus and obsess on things when you got nothing else to do. I mean, if you have time, and this is not a knock on anybody, it's just my personal view. If you have that much time to commit to watching sports all week, which might some people want to come like 8 hours in a week, like I can't even imagine spending that much time watching sports. But that's just me. Like I watch UFC.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's a different sport, but yeah,
it's a sport. It's a sport, and I watch UFC, and I get.
But it doesn't take over your life. It doesn't take over your life. Okay,
I'm not following like Conor McGregor's training camp,
right?
And I'm not like looking at his stats. Like he threw 225 punches, but only 40% were effective. Who gives a fuck? He hit the guy in the face and he fell down. Like that's what happened. Who cares? Like awesome. At the end of the day, in a football game, one team wins and one team loses.
Right.
Who cares if the other guy, the other team, he ran for this many yards? They lost. Their prime objective within that hour, or whatever the hell is, I don't know football that well, their prime objective is to win the game. Win the game.
Right.
All right, if somebody ran so many yards or threw so many touchdowns, good for them, I guess, but they still lost.
Right. There's those empty. Yeah, there's this. It's become a stat thing. But but let me backtrack a little bit. So with these people calling in, I want to talk about this moment here, and this is where I was going with this. So when you have someone who gets violently hurt, right? Okay, right. The batter's not at fault. The stadium's not at fault. And these people were calling in and blaming the parents, or now the grandparents. Like, they weren't paying attention. They shouldn't have brought a 2-year-old to the game. And all these people have so much aggression and hostility. And it wasn't just people texting in that they read it. This is people that were actually calling in. And it just boggled my mind at the level of, like, just no class, right? And just don't care about anybody else but the game itself. That's what's more important, is that other than people's lives.
That, and I don't know anything about the situation, is it's life and accidents happen.
Right.
Okay. Going outside your house is a risk, right?
Absolutely.
On any level, right?
Right.
But what you're kind of like what you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, is it boils back to that whole attitude that's permeated our culture as of late, is at a boiling point that really irritates crap out of me. You know what I'm going to say? It's always someone else's fault.
Yes.
It's no matter what, it's always someone else's fault, and that lack of accountability is killing us,
right,
as a country.
Absolutely.
Murdering us.
Absolutely.
Murdering us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so hearing that just made me fume. I wanted to call in and say, what is wrong with you people? Like, it's just a fucking sport, man. And you're talking about they're putting up nets and how I'm never going to go to a game again if they put up nets and they shouldn't have brought the kids. And it's like, what do you mean? They expect people, okay, so then you have these high and mighty sports types, right? They're like all these, like, really objectionable people, and so they say, okay, well, they should have been paying attention. Okay, have you ever been at a baseball game? Okay, I know that I always teach Levi, and I have taught him, when you want to you want to pay attention, especially when that pitcher is pitching. If you hear that crack of that bat, you need to make sure you know where that ball's coming, because you don't want that ball coming at you, right? And so I try to instill that to him at a younger age. But you could be looking down, grabbing your beer. You could be talking to somebody or trying to get your son or somebody to do something, while you're in the seat, and not being paying attention, and that ball gets hit and hits you in the face or hits someone else in the face, and you're blaming them for not paying attention?
It's typically, or I won't say the right way, but typically you make course corrections and changes based on trends, not off a incident.
Well, nowadays you do it off an incident.
Well, that's what I mean, is like, if you were to say, like, God, that's the 5th kid to get hit in the face with a foul ball in the past 6 months, you need to change something.
Right.
Probably after kid 3.
Right, but it's not just kids. People get hit all the time. People get hit all the time, but it's about the very, very bad ones. Like, okay, for instance, there was a first base coach in high school or college who was a first base coach, right, standing next to the first base, talking to his player, got hit with a drive ball, hit him in the temple, killed him.
Right.
That one incident caused them to now everyone has to wear a helmet when they're on the field like that. Okay? And in hockey, a 19 or a 16-year-old got hit with a puck that came into the stands, killed her. They now put nets up. So when you have a life or death situation like that, or a casualty, or somebody becomes crippled, then yes, you have to take a look at it. But if people get hit all the time,
when did this shit become so dangerous?
What's that?
Has this always been going on?
No, I mean, that's the thing. It's not many people have died during it, but balls are coming in faster. Athletes are stronger. There's
steroids.
There's just a lot of that. There's a lot going on, but at the same time, it's just freak accidents, right? They're freak accidents.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's just the fact that the people had the audacity to call in and blame the parents or the grandparents for not being able to pay attention. It's like, wait a minute, man. You're supposed to come on. You mean
pay attention to what?
To the ball game, so you don't get that, so that doesn't happen.
Does that mean every time there's a pitch thrown, they should be like,
Right, well, no, just keeping your eyes open.
Okay.
Right, well, kind of, right? So at any rate, man, it just really frustrated me, and it made me realize the people who cry after their team loses or start riots because their team wins or lose, like in Michigan State they did a couple times. It's just, I mean, really, it's a freaking sport, man. Get over it. Like, if I see a bad movie that I was hoping to be better, I won't cry about it.
Can you imagine Star Wars fans in the streets after Phantom Menace's opening night rioting, turning over cars on Hollywood Boulevard? Fuck that movie! It was all Jar Jar Binks! Burning things, throwing TVs through windows.
George Lucas, you're next.
That's awesome. George Lucas watching television like, oh, I didn't go over too well there.
Or, yes. So crap. Okay, so with this idea of
you brought up an image, I gotta say, you brought up an image of always watch the sci-fi films. They always have the patriarch are always watching. Like it seems like in the science fiction films, people get further and further away from the gladiators or the entertainers or whoever it is. Like they're always watching from boxes. That's what it reminds me of. The first stages of first we got to put up nets, then we got to put up protective glass. And you start getting further and further away from the action.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a nice analogy because we are getting further and further away. But it's like, but moths are drawn to the flame, right? So we just keep going.
Why do people slow down by a car accident?
Right. I think that's called mofu in Italian. Is the phrase for. Moth against the flame, like the moth being attracted as like mofu or something like that. Anyways,
well, it's kind of like how many people watch NASCAR waiting for a car crash?
Exactly. People love the carnage. People love the carnage. Yes. Why do you watch boxing? To get people, it's a gladiator thing.
Yeah, hockey. How many people are watching hockey? A fight. Fight's breaking out.
Exactly.
Fight.
Right. So I've just kind of checked out on the whole sports thing because it's not my thing anymore in that regard. And I just don't fit in that world. Anymore.
It's really changed. I mean, the NFL got into this whole we have to appeal to everyone because we're a business.
Right.
So we have to do, everyone's got to wear pink in Cancer Month, and then everyone's got to do this. We have to appeal to women, and then we have to appeal to this group and to that group. Well, you start pushing away your core audience, until your core audience is kind of like.
Because you're not focused on them anymore.
Yeah, like I don't think I like this anymore. I'll find something else to do.
Right, because they feel that it's not for them.
Yeah, ratings are down. And then,
but the whole idea of
actually we're going to be like, oh, is the football still on? Oh, they're going to check
exactly, right. And then also you said the attendance is down, or not the attendance, but the ratings are down, and whether it's the Colin Kaepernick aspect where people aren't watching because of what he's standing up for, or if it's the people who aren't watching because he's not standing for he's not standing for the national anthem. There's all these people say they don't watch anymore because of those reasons. I'm like, you're full of shit.
No, I think it's more about how the NFL's handled it. Is because their thing is like Colin Kaepernick does that, and in their minds, well, any one individual you eliminate from buying one of our T-shirts or one of our hats is a lost $20 revenue, whatever it is. We got to course correct on that, and I think it's the way they're handling it has more to do with what he's doing. If he wants to protest, go ahead, But I think it's the way the NFL's handling it that is hurting them.
Yeah, but whatever, man. It's not whatever, but you know what I mean. It's frustrating because it's not that's all we're talking about now, and people are claiming that. What's that?
Yeah. I don't know enough about it. I know he protests.
Yeah. You're sitting in the back, man. You're not paying attention to it. But at any rate, it really made me think of how much people are really assholes these days, and maybe they've always been assholes. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me today. Again, I was saying I've been doing a lot of driving, so I've been doing a lot of thinking today. And
isn't it funny how that works?
Right. I used to love that. So when I used to drive for my last job, I used to do a lot of creative thinking. And then I get to the hotel and I started writing, and it was just nonstop creativity. Yeah. But so I saw a movie this last week, and I've had a hard time with it. And something finally came to light just because of this whole idea of people being assholes. Okay. So without further ado, I saw Mother.
Good for you.
Yes. You're probably not going to see it for a long time because I know it's not going to be in the theaters for long. Not many people are going to like it.
I'm really praying that it holds on long enough to when I get back and I can see it, because I really doubt it's going to play here.
No.
So, and if it does, it's gonna. I've been looking on the internet for it.
Yeah.
If it does, it'll put like a night or 2 nights.
Yeah. You need to see it the day you see it out there. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
if you go to like Austin or something, someplace where it's a very heavy film community, it might be there. You know, like for instance, it might be playing at the Main Art Theater over here in Michigan before it would be playing after anything else, right?
It's so weird. Was it Paramount that put that out? I don't know what I think about their release strategy on that. Usually, Aronofsky's films are a slow rollout to have it get attention, but they did like a big media push on it, like it was a big horror film.
See, I only saw two things for it.
Jennifer Lawrence is in it, and Javier Bardem's in it, and it's this and it's that, and well, plus we've got to come out in the wake of, everybody knew it was going to be a big hit. So,
has it been financially? I don't even know what it's been doing. Is it doing good money?
It's like it's probably going to make as much as the Marvel films.
No kidding.
So maybe
I see. I after seeing it, unless you're an Aronofsky diehard and like something that's really got to be unearthed after you see it, I didn't believe anybody would like it, or it would stay long, because I think everybody in the theater that I saw it with walked out of that theater hating it and so happy that it was over, except for me.
Interesting.
Including Paul.
When you told me you were seeing it with Paul, I was like, he's probably going to like that movie.
Yeah, he did not like it.
What little I knew about it. I didn't even know he made... It's like I knew he was making a new movie last year.
That's the thing. I never know he's making a new movie.
Off the radar, because he's not... It isn't like you're trying to catch tidbits of the film.
Right.
Like, behind-the-scenes photographs of Aronofsky. Right. Nobody does that for Aronofsky.
No.
And then when the first trailer dropped last month or a month before, I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot he was making a new movie.
The first time I saw the first trailer, the very obscure... like just her walking around the empty home. Right. That's the very beginning of the movie, and that right there, I was like, "Oh my god, that's Aronofsky! I am seeing that. That looks amazing." Just from that one that one little clip. Then the second trailer, oh my god, it blew me away with the sound effects and the cutting and the.
I didn't see that.
Oh, you should totally check it out, man! It reminds me of an older '80s, early '90s kind of trailer.
Well, that's why I think people got misled. There was some allusions to that. It was a bit like Rosemary's Baby.
It does have a similarity to that. Yes.
Does it really?
It does have a similarity to it. Like I wouldn't actually have put that out until at the very end of it. I was like, oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, okay. But it is not a horror movie. And if you wanted to call it anything, it'd be like calling Rosemary's Baby a horror movie.
Because they really did sell it as a horror film.
Right. Well, Rosemary's Baby is not a horror movie. It's not scary at all. There's no scare. There's
thriller.
It's just suspense. It's just that dread that's coming. Right.
Dread.
Well, maybe there's a scary moment when she's getting raped by by Satan. Right. I mean that's probably scary, but I don't think you can classify it as a horror movie. But at any rate, Mother is not a scary movie until the ending. And when I said I'm having a hard time with it, I'm having a hard time with it. Like the ending gets you really hard. Like it really goes in a direction, and then it keeps going, and it just keeps landsliding into this craziness that at the end, that what you're watching, you're actually just in disbelief that they went there.
So when you've said a few times, I'm having a hard time with it. What do you mean? Like you're having a hard time wrapping your head around what it means, or having a hard time?
I'm having a hard time with what I saw.
What? Oh, from a disturbing, like disturbed you.
Yeah,
disturbed you.
I'm having a hard time with what I saw, and then at the same time, trying to wrap my head around everything that's going on in the story, because in the 15-minute mark, give or take, I realized he was going to give me nothing in this movie. Right. Like I kept looking for things, like little links to what's going on, and I was like, you know what? Just step back and relax. He is not showing you anything.
He's not going to give you a shield. He's not going to give you a Shia LaBeouf.
Exactly. He's not giving you anything other than what he wants to show you.
Right.
And I can see it being frustrating for people, because you want things explained that don't really get explained, and they might be explained if you just kind of think about it in a different way, right? It's a movie where you can probably interpret it in a lot of different ways.
Well, he's just giving you enough information to move from scene to scene. basically.
Absolutely, and it's, yeah, exactly, because it's a pretty straightforward movie in that regard. It just keeps going that way, but it's kind of a mind fuck because he doesn't give you anything, and you're just like watching it and like, man, okay, how's that going to tie in now? Well, what is that hole in the floor? What's that going to do?
This before we move forward is it? And even though I'm an avowed David Lynch fan, I admit some of his stuff seems abstract to be abstract, like intentionally being confusing. Does it seem like it's intentionally confusing, or is he actually? Can you feel that he's got a through line, he's got a spine of action, and it's whether you pick up on it or not is up to you, the viewer.
I believe he absolutely had a through line and something he was trying to say, but he doesn't give you a lot to figure it out until the very end, and then you can still kind of go, wait a minute, and then it's a conversation movie.
Oh,
I like got to talk about it because it like as soon as I got in the car, Paul said something that made me go, oh my God, that's amazing. That's exactly right. I didn't even catch that. And then it opened his eyes a little bit, but not to a point where he still enjoyed it. He was still like, yeah, well, that's kind of cool, but but still. But yeah, it's a convoluted story in just in the sense that he's not giving you anything. He shows you just something that doesn't really even. God, it's a hard movie to describe. It really truly is. People have asked me what it's about. I have a hard time with it because without telling you what the story is truly about, I can tell you that, or I can tell you, something about that doesn't really tell you anything about it. Just it's about a girl in a house who has a husband who's a poet, and he becomes famous again, and a bunch of people come to his house, and all hell breaks loose. That's the short and nasty of it. Okay, and if you put it that way, it's one thing. But then once you see what actually happens with the craziness, and so when I mentioned that I finally figured something out, I think the movie was saying that we are a society of assholes. Okay, and I'll put it this way. So I'm gonna give you stuff that you might not want to hear. I'm not sure, audience, if you're out there. I know you're out there, but as you're out there,
if you haven't watched Mother yet and intend to,
I'm gonna. In fact, if you want to unhook. Yeah. But I'm gonna say this about Mother. So to me, it's about the creator, whether it's God or just a creating spirit, right? And the house and the mother, to me, represent Earth.
Right.
Okay. There's a little heart. There's a jewel in the movie that you find out at the very end of the story what it is, and it's the heart of the house. Okay. Okay. And I'll say only that because I don't want to give away every detail.
Sure.
And it becomes the focus point of why this house is alive. So there's times in the movie where she touches the house, and she can see the heartbeat of the house.
Okay.
And if it's vivid, if it's healthy, or not, and it's all depending upon what's coming into her house. So while it's about a woman and her husband, they live by themselves. They never leave the house except for right around the property. You don't see anything else inside this house. The camera never even leaves the house.
Interesting.
Okay? Right. There's a lot of cool things going on. So as we go through the story, we find out that he's a struggling writer trying to find his next masterpiece. And all of a sudden, someone comes knocking on the door. And it's Ed Harris. And he's a doctor who is dying of cancer and is a huge fan and just wanted to meet him. So he comes and meets him. And then all of a sudden, who shows up? Michelle Pfeiffer. All of a sudden, he has a wife now. And now he's been there for a couple of days. He invites him over, invites him to stay. And the mother, or Jennifer Lawrence, says, we don't even know him. What are you doing? Oh, but he's a big fan. He just wants to, we can't send him away. Where's he going to go? So,
and there's no names, right?
There's no names.
She's mother.
He's him.
What is Ed Harris? The man? Or I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of forget, actually. I have to look that up. If they have names or not. They might have names. It'd be kind of hard to not communicate with 4 different people, but at any rate.
I'm actually curious.
Yeah, look it up while I'm saying the rest here. So it becomes. So what did I leave off on? They come in the house, and all of a sudden, they're being very disrespectful. She is being very disrespectful. Michelle Pfeiffer is being very disrespectful towards the mother, right? Jennifer Lawrence, and all of a sudden, more happens. More people come. All of a sudden, his son comes. both their sons come, and one of them kills the other one, like Cain and Abel. It becomes very biblical in a lot of ways, like Aronofsky's movies tend to do. Because of that, they invite the whole people. Oh, yeah. So they invite more people in for like this celebration of life, right? And then so then after all that's said and done, they walk away. People destroyed their home by not listening to her. She keeps telling people not to do this. She keeps telling people not to do that. Please don't do that in this house. Please don't go open the room. Oh, you broke his thing. I told you not to go in there. Michelle Pfeiffer acts like a child throughout the movie, being that she doesn't understand anything, and she just acts like a child, but a grown-up. It's like she doesn't get anything.
It almost sounds like it's very on the nose in a way about the whole man and woman, because I looked it up. It's Ed Harris's man and Michelle Pfeiffer's woman.
So it definitely,
like,
right?
It's like you're very, like, it almost sounds very abstract, but on the nose about man entering Earth and like, oh, whoopsie daisy, and and they just laying it out there.
And then if you fast forward a little bit, after more people come and there's a death in the house, and the death causes this blood to go through the floor, which starts melting out the floorboard, then it goes to the bottom where it opens up this other thing, and she's like, where is all this blood going? And there's this door here that's been hidden, and so she tries to open it, she can't open it. It's just like it's been cemented over.
Oh, wow.
So there's all these things, but then they never touch back to it later on again. So it gets frustrating because you're like, wait a minute, what's that? What's that?
Like, that's an important thing.
Right. Okay.
That's a hidden door in your house.
So as these people are being disrespectful for her, smoking in her home, sitting on the countertop that wasn't supported, she keeps telling people, and they're disrespecting her. They're like, no, look, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then it breaks off, causes all this water damage, and then she explodes, and everyone finally leaves, right? And then he is just like, oh, like, it's okay. Don't even clean this up right now. He's just so willy-nilly about it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Totally. Yeah, it almost sounds, I mean, it sounds on the nose, but I have to see it.
Yeah. But actually, it's not until you get to the end of it, then you finally figure some of this. For me, if I start figuring it out. And at the very end of this movie, the last act, he writes his poem and becomes famous instantly. And like the next day, people are at his house.
Instant gratification.
Yes. And so the people are at his house now trying to get a touch of him. And all of a sudden, he invites them in their home. And now she's pissed off again because now she's pregnant. Okay. And there's a whole thing about that. But now that she's there, and then she's really upset. And all of a sudden, more people come. And more people come. And all of a sudden, he becomes like a false prophet. And it becomes very religious and very cultish. And all of a sudden, the cops show up, and there's people being murdered, and there's sex trafficking, and every room you go into is more far out than the next. And then when you go back to it, it's even worse.
How long is this movie?
2 hours.
Oh, so it just keeps going.
Oh, yeah. It's a slow burn. It's a slow burn, but once you get to the midpoint, which was the death in the house, that's the midpoint, and the rest of it just flies by, because at the end, the people just are in uproar, rioting, killing. It is, and then it just gets to a point where, so the point of the story to me was about the creator, about a creator who kept wanting to do something, and he would try something and see how it worked, and if it didn't go right, he would start over again.
Oh, right, okay.
And so he was constantly creating, and every room was him creating this next.
Let me see how this goes. Well, that didn't work out so well. Let me see how this goes.
Right, and then it backfires, and then he's like, oh, and then it just keeps going. Yeah. Okay? So that's all I want to say.
Not realizing that the past mistake is informing the next mistake.
Yes. And so at the end of the movie, we find out, I don't want to say how the ending movie happens, so I'll let you have some of it. But that's what I come up with, was that it was about Earth and mankind, and not necessarily about God, but more about man. And so another thing, when I talked about assholes in sports, I caught someone's Facebook rant about, it was a Christian-based thing that said, how dare he mock God, people are upset, blah, 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 about this movie. And I was like, oh, what are they talking about? Let me see what they're saying. And these people probably never even saw the movie, but are telling Jennifer Lawrence that she's going to hell, that she's going to have to pay for her sins, that she's a stupid, ugly bitch. And I'm like, wow, very Christian of you. Wow, you probably haven't even seen this movie.
You know what baffles me about when people do those things, especially Aronofsky, because Aronofsky's never shy about his faith. He grew up, very Catholic, Christian, or whichever, I think Catholic. and because Catholics are much more strict. And do what we do when we tell you to do it. You know, it's like, and so he's never shy about interjecting those ideas into his films.
No, not at all.
And I would think, from an outside perspective, that people who are religious in some way would be like applaud that.
Right.
But it seems like unless it's to the letter of what they think they know or have been taught, they're not interested.
Okay, that's a good point, because the same thing happened in Noah.
Yeah, because Noah, I went and saw Noah opening weekend, and I was like, I thought it was really going to catch on with that crowd. I think it's a good movie. It challenges the viewer in a lot of ways, and is a good representation of that happening, and makes a big statement about God's existence and the universe and how and everything else. And then it was widely rejected.
And why? Because they had like rock monsters, and they were like, that wasn't in the Bible. Okay, well, you know, it's a story.
It's an interpretation.
He's taking some liberties with whatever he wants to tell. Don't tell me what was true and what was not true. You weren't there either. This story has been retold and retold and retold and been changed so many times. Give me a break.
That's why I get confused by, not confused, it intrigues me that movies like Noah and Exodus, is that the one Ridley Scott made? Exodus?
Yeah, Exodus, yeah. The one about Moses.
About Moses, yeah, and the whole, part of the Red Sea. And those movies got rejected.
Yeah. Is it because people don't want to watch the biblical epics anymore?
I don't know, because that audience is obviously there. And look at Passion of the Christ. Huge success. Huge. And
yeah, but maybe because that was like so... That's a tough one, but yeah, it's like, why one, not the other?
Well, I think Passion of the Christ... Well, one thing I think that made Passion of the Christ a hit was, like, after you saw it, you'd have been like you're like, it's a great movie. I will never go see it again. But you've got to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Because it was an experience.
Oh, absolutely.
There isn't anything in Ridley Scott films where you're like, wow, like this is an experience.
Yeah.
Like Passion of the Christ created a physical reaction in people.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was with my ex at the time. Wasn't my ex then, ex now. And we left because she was crying. Almost the entire audience was crying.
Oh,
weeping.
Yeah. Right.
Like not little sniffles. Like people were crying.
Right.
And we were driving home, and she's just like, I just wanted the crowd, like, stop beating him. Like I couldn't take it anymore. Like it gave you a reaction.
Yeah, it did, and it was great because of that. And that's why I can't watch it again.
Noah's cool, and Noah's a good movie, but it doesn't do that.
No, but when you compare that to Exodus, Noah had a lot more to say. Noah's a far superior movie, and I would only really rank Noah at maybe a C+. Like I like it, but I don't think it's one of his best. But it's definitely a good movie. Maybe a B. It's a B.
I think it falls apart in the last act.
Yeah, what do they tend to do? Right. That's where they usually fall apart. But
two, I think Aronofsky has a problem with, like, I don't want to say this. I think he's not that good at trying to compose what I consider like a normal linear narrative. Like when people actually have to act like people and there's no other like subtext to the scene.
Right. And
he has to let characters play out because all the drama in the boat feels stilted.
Okay.
Because it's just narrative. And there's not any like build up to anything, and there's not any like, because before the boat sinks, and it's all about Noah witnessing mankind as savages and talking to the gods and the rock monsters, and all that stuff is like right up his alley.
Right.
It is very well done as it builds up to the flood. But as soon as it becomes like a character drama on the boat, it starts to crumble, and his weaknesses as a filmmaker, if you can call it a weakness, come out. Because he's not. That's not his thing. That's not what he's good at.
Interesting. Yeah, because it did kind of slow down there. You got on the boat. You had to deal with I forgot the villain's name. What was his name?
Was that Brendan Gleeson? Gleeson.
Yeah, I think so. So he's on the boat, and he's like killing the animals and eating the animals.
Yes.
And he gets the kid to follow along with him, and like give him whatever he needs to do.
Question. And
I kind of started. I think that was where I was like, why? What is going on here? Why is this taking place? I didn't feel like the characters were acting in the right way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is his like real, like I would say mainstream character drama type situations, I don't think he's that good at.
What about the wrestler? That's a character drama.
Yeah, but the wrestler never gets mired down in these weighty character situations where it's like, I think this about this, and this is my point of view, and this is my other person's point of view. He's trying to juggle like 4 different character points of view in those.
Well, sure, yeah.
Whereas wrestler, he's kind of, he's moving from person to person and scene to scene,
right?
And how he worked with his daughter and what his work experience is like, where he's in the wrestling room, and it's far more able to control than contain.
Yeah,
it's one thing that I always kind of marvel at filmmakers who are able to take conversations and make them work on film, because filmmakers who are not operating at a certain level have a really hard time with it, and it comes off as hokey. And I always point back to The Watchmen, Zack Snyder's Watchmen, is that there's a lot of exposition in that movie and a lot of characters having talked to one another. And the first hour where they like meet in an apartment and talk, meet here and talk, are horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible scenes because he doesn't know how to capture that. He's not quite sure what to do with it. Whereas someone like people who are obviously good at it, like Scorsese and Spielberg, they never have people stand across from each other or sit at tables and speak to one another. Like, people don't do that. They move around, they talk, they go from place to place and do that. And you can always tell when a director's having a hard time with it because they block it. Like, okay, you stand over here and you stand over there, and then you say your lines and you say your lines. We'll get a couple different coverages of it.
Right.
And it always comes off as hokey.
Right. Okay.
Because there's all this weird space between people that doesn't quite work.
And there's no real conversation happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm going to say my lines, and you're going to say your lines, and then I'm going to say my lines, and then cut.
And then I'm going to say my lines. Yeah, my lines. I can't remember my lines. Oh. Okay, so before we get to the wrestler, let's go back to Noah. Oh, wait. Are we done with Mother? Because Mother...
I don't know, are we?
Yeah, let me say this about Mother.
Uh-huh.
Anybody who's out there who is on the fence about seeing this movie, it is a tough watch at a certain point, at least for me. But I recommend seeing it because I think it does have a lot to say about mankind. And not being a very religious man, I see the parallels to his religious beliefs or just things he was trying to say. And it's alarming because it shows what people will do. And it shows what people are capable of doing. Right? Yeah. And all it takes is to follow the wrong person. Right? Like cults, right? Like David, what was that guy in Texas? Not David Duke, the other one, David Koresh.
Oh, David Duke's the other dude.
Yeah,
David Koresh. yeah, Koresh. Well, cults are, it's that whole idea of people need something to believe in to keep, to going from day to day.
And in this movie, when the people start coming, that's what everyone wants. They want somebody to believe in, and they treat him like he's a god, and they do everything he says, and he won't let anybody go. It's like he wants that attention, he wants that love, and he says at one point, he's like, "Why won't she?" He's like, "Why won't you let them leave? Just make them leave." I've been telling you this is killing me, and he says, "I don't want them to," because he loves the attention, right? Because he's just a creator who wants that attention, and but it's about the people, man. I think it really, when you break it down, and I'm glad I had that epiphany today on what I believe was just about mankind and how fucked up we are, and how the stupid shit we do, and how we follow the wrong things, and how crazy and mad, and what a crazy mad world we have right now. And it was a glimpse of that in that whole movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's brilliant in that way.
We could go off on a huge riff about the whole, like, mankind, like we're given this beautiful planet and everything we need to survive on it, and all we keep doing is creating more shit.
Dude, this movie
that ruins the planet.
That's it. That's it. She loves this house, right? Like this, she tells how this house burnt down, right? And how she recreated it, and the way it was before. Yep. And it was his house. It was his house when he grew up, and she recreated it for him. And I see. And every time someone's doing something, like there's like a thank you. Oh, excuse me. Hi. Okay, follow your brother. Bye-bye. Thank you. Good night, guys. I love you. Close the door behind you, Jess. Okay, so, good night, brothers. Good night, guys.
Actually going to bed at a decent time, huh? Wow.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Just they're going to lay down. Close the door, buddy. So again, it's about mankind and what we're capable of.
Sure.
And I was going to go somewhere. The interruption, I forgot where I was actually going there, but that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Is it's pretty cool. It's actually kind of brilliant. Mm-hmm. If you think of, like when I walked out, I was like, "This is." As I'm watching it, up until that last 5 minutes, I was like, "This is so freaking cool! I can't wait to try to figure this out."
So would you go back and see it again to see what you're thinking about it is?
I would leave at a point.
Aligns.
Yes, but I would leave at a certain point. I wouldn't want to see something again.
Violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a hard time with that realistic violence.
Yeah, and anyone who doesn't have a hard time with these two particular scenes, or it's actually one scene altogether, sequence, you have no heart. Because it is like, it's pretty like, whoa. Whew! Okay, let's get past this. Okay, but a brilliant movie. That's why I'm glad we're talking about Aronofsky, because he makes some really great movies that I don't want to watch all the time. But they speak. There's a message. He's saying something. He's not afraid of going to places that other filmmakers don't. And he doesn't care if you get it.
He's got a voice.
Yes,
he has a voice.
He doesn't
care if you get it. He has a very distinct voice too.
Yeah, it's very distinct.
Very distinct voice. Like he's not taking the easy paychecks. He could have very well taken after The Fountain.
Wolverine, he was signed. He was attached to for a little bit.
He got attached to a bunch of he was attached to the RoboCop remake. He was attached to the Batman reboot, and he was attached to Wolverine.
Wolverine. I would see Wolverine or the other one. Okay.
Like The Fountain tanked hard, and I think that was a hard blow for him professionally and personally, because he said it was. I'm not speculating.
Really?
And,
okay.
He started gravitating towards these studio reboot films. But he wasn't able to shake who he was, and these things never jived with the studios. But now we've come so far. Let's pick the Batman reboot as one.
Okay.
Is now the things they're talking about doing with the Batman films and the Joker films, the radical direction they want to go in Hollywood terms. Aronofsky's coming back and he's like, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to do 10 years ago.
Right.
But 10 years ago, nobody wanted anything to do with it.
Right. They wanted to stay bread and butter. They wanted to stay vanilla.
They were looking for the Nolan film.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They were looking
right.
for the Nolan film.
I don't know how an Aronofsky superhero movie would go, but the man is immensely talented. Like I knew that
dying to see his RoboCop film.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I think he would do an awesome Wolverine.
When his name floated, yeah, he would do an awesome Wolverine film. When his name floated near RoboCop, I got all tingly. I was like he can do it justice. I know.
That would be. Who's the? Okay, give me another director who you think could do that movie, past or present, that could do RoboCop justice.
Who could do a RoboCop justice? Yeah. Ooh, well, I think Denis Villeneuve would do it.
Yes, I thought you would say that. Yeah.
And then past, I think 70s William Friedkin can make a badass RoboCop film.
I'd like to see a Sam Peckinpah RoboCop.
Yeah, I don't know. he would just be like Charlton Heston in like a steel hat.
Right.
He's not a robot. Robots don't exist. You can see Peckinpah like a robot. Robot.
It's fantastic.
No such thing.
Okay, so Aronofsky. Okay. I'm done with Mother. I don't know if you have any questions about Mother, but like I say, go see it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you take out, even though I've given you a lot of information now. But right. I know you knew more information about it than I did going in. I just saw the 2 trailers, so like you said you pieced together a bit about it.
He talked about it. Well, Aronofsky talked about it in an interview, and I'm a big fan of Aronofsky, and I understand. Like, I don't understand. I have a sense of where he's coming from in his movies, like his outlook on things and his religious outlook on things.
Right.
And then I saw 2 clips online. One was the clip where Michelle Pfeiffer is needling Mother about having kids.
Right.
And the other one is she's telling Ed Harris not to smoke, and he's just blowing her off. And the combination of all those things, like Aronofsky's interview and that, I just started to get a sense of, feels like some kind of representation of mankind and the house is Earth and so on, and just
bravo, sir. Bravo. You got it before you even saw it. I saw it and got it towards, when I finally figured it out. I was like, oh, this is what that is. Okay. So good job, man. Good job.
Well, Aronofsky kept talking about in the interview, even though he wasn't drunk, he's saying it, he's just like, I've been so angry. And then alluding to environmental things and so on.
Ah.
And then it all just kind of wrapped, and I was like, oh, it must be about this.
Yeah.
Not that I was 100% sure, but that was just the idea that I had. Yeah.
Nice. No, that's it, man. Like I said, it's about mankind and how vicious and stupid they are, and or we are, and then what we do to this earth, and how the house is the earth, and that's what this movie is about. And if you think of it's a great movie if you look at it that way, or you can be one of these people who says it's about an affront on Christianity, right? And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with that.
Somebody had gone on and said that they felt it was a statement on love, how there's always one person in the relationship who loves the other and the other one doesn't appreciate it.
Okay.
And
yes, absolutely.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. The last line of the movie is one of the last lines of the movie is, "I love you. You never loved me. You just loved how much I loved you."
Oh.
So it's not as difficult as I'm making it sound. When I was so it took me a while to figure it out though. But if you can catch all these things, it's not that complicated. But it is still, because he's not giving it out right. It's there.
Because it's not saying it's about this.
Right, exactly. It's there. If you piece it together beforehand or during or after, it's there for you to piece apart or to find.
And more, as we constantly say in this podcast, more and more the audience wants to be told instead of shown.
Absolutely. And that's actually what Paul said. Paul said,
we're conditioned for it.
Yeah, right. And the funny thing is, Paul said, I actually like my movies a little bit more spoon-fed than that. And I was like, hey, I get it. It's not for everybody.
At least he admits it.
Yeah, right. And he likes a good movie that has, that'll make you think, but it's just he likes a little bit more information, so he's not trying to figure it out, right? He just wants to let that happen to him.
He likes the movies where the guy says, well, we have this idea, and we have this idea. Which one do you gravitate towards? Because a lot of movies now do that.
Right.
They'll spit out an idea. They won't really go down that path. They're like, well, there's this idea.
Right. And then
there's this idea.
Right.
This idea is for the left, and this idea is for the right.
Exactly, right. Now, Paul has had some bad luck with movies lately. We've gone the last couple. I don't think he's liked very many, so I've got to go see. I don't have to go see. I mean, I want to go see. We're going to go see American Assassin.
Did he not like Wind River?
No, he did like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I take that back. But maybe I should say there's been quite a few movies over the summer where I've got him to go with me, and he's like, yeah, I don't like that.
Well, there wasn't anything that came out recently that's been that challenging, I don't think.
Yeah. And I forget the ones that he said he didn't like, but there was a couple that he didn't care for, and I liked, and a couple that I liked or I didn't care for, and he liked, right? So we've had a couple like that
can make for a good movie-going experience, though, because when you walk out, if you don't disagree, I find that more interesting. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I got in the movie, talked about the Ocean's 11 guy, Soderbergh's last one. What the hell's it called? Logan Lucky. And I didn't really care for it. He did. And so we kind of had a conversation about that. And we did that with War of the Planet of the Apes, which he didn't like nearly as much as I did.
So what didn't he like about War of the Planet of the Apes? I'm curious.
I think we talked about that on the podcast, didn't we? But I can't remember. Okay.
He probably did.
He didn't like it because he didn't feel... Like, damn it. I forget.
There's something about the motivation of someone that he didn't
Something about the motivation of something, right. Like, he didn't feel the motivation, or that the humans, or that the apes were a threat to man, so why were they acting the way they were? Oh,
yeah, that was it. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And it was more than that, but he definitely wasn't grasped nearly as emotionally as I was. But that's what I love about movies, and not everyone loves them, and not everyone it can be different. The guy you're sitting next to might hate it, and you might love it, vice versa.
Do you also get, what? One thing I picked up on when you're talking about Mother is it's interesting that I don't know if everybody's this way. I am, and I know you are. Maybe it's because we're such cinephiles. Is that when you're in a theater and there's enough people in there, you can sense the energy in the room if people are digging it or not digging it.
Typically, yeah,
it's a tangible thing. It's a very tangible thing. If there's enough people,
right? Okay, so
when we saw Batman vs Superman, and it was not full, but it was full enough. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I don't care that everyone in here hates this movie. I'm digging it. And I can feel the hate.
Right.
I can feel the hate. I was into it.
Yeah.
And but I've seen other movies where you can just feel the energy in the room. Is like people are, and when the energy typically deflates in a theater, like I lose a little bit of energy too.
Ah.
Like I do. I'm always like, oh God, like people really don't like.
Well, that's the thing, man. Movies are bigger than just watching at home, man. There's an experience. There's that energy level that you're talking about. It's all there, man. It's an experience, and like it or not, movies have that effect, and that's why they should be seen there. They should not be seen on TV.
I remember when I saw Seven, and it was pretty full, and nobody, after it started, nobody got up. Nobody said anything. You didn't hear anyone the whole time. You just felt dread in the whole audience.
Right.
And the movie had that effect on people.
The same way with The Road for me.
Yeah, when it was over, you're just, oh, thank God that's over with.
Oh, I had that same effect with Road, where I was like, oh God, I think that's over. I started laughing at the end. I'm like, oh, it's over. Whew.
It's like when you really hurt. You ever really hurt yourself, and it's a prolonged pain? Like your leg just keeps throbbing. It's like going on an hour, and you just start laughing because you're like, okay, like this pain's gotten to be unbearable. Okay, now. All right.
When we were leaving the theater, I heard a couple of people. This kind of just all of a sudden popped in my head. People, when the movie was over, several people laughed, and I took it as meaning they were so excited that the movie was finally over.
Right.
Or they couldn't wait. But at the same time, I just said I laughed at the end of Road. But for a very different reason, because I was letting off some, I was letting go of something, right? Because I didn't want to just break down in tears.
Sure.
And I was just like, I kind of laughed as a way to guise that, right? And so maybe they didn't hate it, the movie. Maybe the people, I tend to think just by the reactions of people who were in the theater that they didn't like it. But, and plus, by the way, marketed very poorly. Either people do not know what they're going into, or only go based upon an actor, or only go based upon a title of a poster. Because the people walking in that theater, I'm like, oh, you probably should not be in this theater.
Well, they probably got a lot of that Jennifer Lawrence Hunger Games crowd.
No, I'm talking older folks, old white people. And I was like, I don't think. Do you know what? I don't think Darren Aronofsky's for you.
I mean, they could be. I mean, I remember I saw. Was I in Florida? I was visiting somewhere when Black Swan came out, and I went and saw it with my dad and his then wife. And about the scene where she was masturbating, I was like, I wonder if my dad's enjoying this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it's got to say. But after the movie, they were both just like, that was a really good movie.
Okay.
Like, that was really good. Because it had something to say.
To me, Joe, all his movies do, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but I felt like these people didn't know what they were walking into. You know, I'm like, I don't think you know, and I don't even know.
They may have thought they were getting Rosemary's Baby, which they saw when they were 25.
Maybe.
You know,
maybe you're right. Okay, so I a little judging there on my part. My bad. Okay.
Well, you never know what I would think they probably got a lot of Jennifer Lawrence Hunger Games crowd.
So the younger
crowd.
New
Jennifer Lawrence film, yay! And then you got the thriller horror film, mature horror crowd, Rosemary's Baby, Don't Look Now, 1970s era kind of thing, you know, because they did kind of, as I was reading interviews and things, and they were being real coy, and then I forget at what point, like a day or two before, one of the entertainment rags came out and they were like, this thing, they're marketing this thing all wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to get a huge backlash.
Yeah.
They're going to get a huge backlash. Yeah. And they did.
Yep. Absolutely. But
I think he wanted that. I think Aronofsky wanted that.
I don't think he gives a shit. That's the thing. That's why I like him as a filmmaker. He doesn't care. He makes the movies he wants to make. He's like Nicholas Winding Refn. He's going to make the movie he wants to make the way he wants to make it. If you don't get it, you don't get it.
He's a more mainstream version of Refn.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
though Aronofsky's films are abstract, they're nowhere near as abstract as Refn's films.
Not at all.
Like Refn's films, you can just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really? Like beautiful to look at, which like entrances me.
Yep.
But at the same time, like sequences or scenes will end, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
I can't stop watching.
Every one of his movies has that effect, and we started talking about Noah. So you really like Noah?
I liked Noah. I feel it falls apart in the third act.
Okay, so what was you're talking about? It has something to say. What is that movie saying to you?
I wish I'd watched it more recently. It talks
We
about...
don't do preparation on the J. Craig.
It talks about... It has a lot to say about the fallacy of man.
Okay.
That God creates, and then God creates and man destroys it. God creates and man tears it apart, tears it down. God creates and then Creator creates, or God creates, however you want to look at it,
right.
And man tears it down.
Okay.
That man's own intrinsic fallacies are his downfall, but these are also the fallacies that God or the Creator has instilled in man.
Right.
So God can't judge man, because these are the principles and fallacies you've instilled in this being.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can't fault him for being the way that he is.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Even though you keep creating, it's like, and he keeps falling it apart, it's kind of like, it's almost like this, not that Noah's saying this, but it's almost like this little game. But I feel Noah is saying that no matter what warning signs or what wrath or anything that God brings down, God shouldn't be judging man, because he's given man all these abilities and qualities and ability for hate and savagery and war and free thought and all these things. So you can't judge him. Like he judges man and Noah.
Sure.
He floods the earth.
Yeah.
But the end, even though the end I think could have been handled better, the end of Noah solidifies the fact that this is not going to end here. Like the flood, and the man will rebuild and get born again and start over.
Right.
But it's going to be the same thing over again.
Okay.
Unless you change man fundamentally,
right,
nothing's going to change. So are you just going to have another flood in a million years, or what are you going to do? Like, right. Noah to me is saying a lot of that.
Interesting. So I saw it the one time. I remember really enjoying it as a whole movie, right? But I remember it didn't falling apart towards the end. And I remember liking it because of the getting inside of Noah's head, what that did to him.
Right.
You know, and having him, is he imagining this? Is he fucking crazy, or is he really hearing and talking to God? Right.
Yeah.
And there's that inner turmoil that's going on within him, and then with his family and having them, go along with this. So to me, that was fascinating, because it was a really nice character piece in that way about Noah. Yes. And
there's a lot to say about following your beliefs.
Yes, and being. That's what I'm saying. He never just has one thing to say in a movie.
No,
he's got many things he's saying, and that movie right there. You said something about what mankind does, and the other thing is it's about believing in something and being strong enough and confident enough that you're going to follow through with it no matter what.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of no matter what's in this movie, But ultimately, it's nothing that like I say, Nolan or not Nolan, Aronofsky movies are hard for me to watch again, just because they're intense. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's intense.
Well, his movies outside of Requiem for a Dream, which we'll talk about a little bit later here.
Yes.
But outside of Requiem, they are dreams. His movies,
know, right?
But his movies, to me, aren't things that I don't go on to YouTube and watch like Noah scene, or a scene from Noah, or scene from Black Swan.
Nope.
You got to take them as a whole.
Yep.
There are scenes in Requiem for a Dream I can watch, because that's built in a much different way.
Very different way.
It's a fever dream stuff going on there. But Noah needs to be, to me, if I'm going to watch part of Noah, I'm going to need to watch 20 minutes of it to get the sense of the build-up. Like when God presents to Noah, or Noah discovers or sees, however you want to interpret it, the savagery of man, and that man needs to be wiped out.
Right.
When he goes to the man's camp,
and
witnesses them, and you're just like, the horror of that entire scene and what it represents to Noah is. Before that, Noah's like, man, that's not so bad. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How come I got to do that? And then he's presented with like, okay, you're right. Yeah, man's got to go.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you were to watch that scene on its own, it's okay. But you need the 10 to 15 minutes before it, as it builds up to that scene, for it to have the same
doesn't work
impact.
on its own. Yeah, no,
exactly.
These movies are all whole. They're all whole. Yeah. I can't sit and watch a scene from Wrestler. You got to watch the movie to get the effect of everything, because it's a story.
I can watch Marissa Tomei striptease.
Oh, well, okay. Now, first of all, he does a really good job of his talent in his movies, because I just in love with Jennifer Connelly. I love me some Jennifer Connelly.
Good God's sakes.
Right? And yeah. We watched Labyrinth with the boys recently.
It's funny to think she's been around for quite a while.
She was 16 in that.
Yeah, right.
4 years later, she was in Top Spot, where she was nude.
And quite well endowed.
Yes, and quite well. So, hey, side story.
Side story.
Side story with Labyrinth.
Yes.
Haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay.
Produced by George Lucas.
Yes.
Directed Jim Henson.
Yes.
Written by Terry Jones of the Monty Python.
Yeah. Right.
Dude, are you kidding me?
It was totally hyped up on its release. Like totally,
that is amazing.
Just like, this is this big fantasy, like culmination of the minds thing, and it stands outside of. There's a puppet dance scene in there, which is totally dated.
Yes.
But outside of that, like it holds up. I think
it does hold up. And there was a point where David Bowie started singing. And I'm like, why is he breaking out in song? And then Tina's like, it's David Bowie. He's always going to break out in song.
You have David Bowie in your movie. He's going to sing. But then again, Mick Jagger doesn't burst into song and flapjack.
And free jack.
Flapjack. I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna get you flapjack. Okay.
I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
So I thought that was really cool that those three people made that movie. And you said flapjack, free jack. Levi wants to sing like David Bowie now. He thinks David Bowie has a great voice. And I was like, that's cool. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool. We're gonna get some David Bowie on your iPod.
It's a lot better than wanting to sing like Christopher Marx or whoever's popular these days.
Or whoever, who I don't know who that fuck that is. Or Bruno Mars, who I like. Bruno Mars, sorry.
It's probably.
Okay, so Noah, I would give it more of like a C plus B minus, only because I think it faltered. But I really like the intensity of focusing on a guy who's dealing with this particular vision, whether it's a vision or being crazy, and then the people that are trying to get on the boat and dying in the water, and it's like just so much going on towards the end. But it does fall a little bit falter at the end.
I'm going to go B because I give it an A for effort.
Okay.
And that balances out the negative third act. Because I think anyone who attempted to make a mainstream big Hollywood Noah film, just on its own merit, deserves some credit.
Some credit. Okay, what about Ridley Scott, though, in Exodus?
I mean, that movie gets about a C because, again, it gets an A for effort, but I think the film's pretty terrible.
I can't even give it a C.
So maybe like a D+.
I almost walked out of the theater. I think did I finish that movie? That was a bad movie.
I never finished it.
It's a bad movie.
It was one of those movies where I was kind of like,
why did they make this movie?
Like, what's the point of this movie?
Like, was it Eric Bana and Christian Bale?
No, it was Christian Bale.
Joel Egerton.
Huh? Joel Egerton. Yeah. You think Eric Bana was in Troy?
Oh yeah, thanks. Okay.
With Brad Pitt as the most out of place Achilles of all time.
That's a trap. That whole movie is just a big wow.
Remember, there was this snapshot photo of Brad Pitt that encapsulates everything wrong with him and Brad Pitt in that movie. It's him. There's a story that goes along with this. It's him on set in his Achilles guard by like a catering truck in the middle of nowhere on his phone, and he had strict demands that he needed to have the satellite phone so he could still talk to Jennifer Aniston. And he was like, they'd break and he'd go talk to Jennifer Aniston as they're all trying to do the Sword and Sandals epic. So instead of being like instilled in what he was doing, he was like, break. Oh, okay. No, soda pop.
Make a phone call.
Yeah, phone call. Yeah. He just didn't. Like
Jennifer, is George there?
Eric Bana felt like he needed to be there.
Yeah.
But Brad Pitt, I think the idea of Brad Pitt as Achilles works. The idea of him in that role, because he's Achilles, is a god.
Sure.
And Brad Pitt is a genetic freak in terms of handsomeness and good looks and everything else, and his voice. But he just didn't. There was this part in Troy that, again, kind of spoke a lot to me. Was there was a scene where Richard Harris, who is Eric Bana's father in the film, comes to Brad Pitt to beg him for his son's body back. And Richard Harris is one of the greatest actors of our time, right? And he...
Duck of Death?
Duck. Duck. The duck.
Duck Eye says.
Duck Eye says.
Sorry, go ahead.
He's sitting next to Brad Pitt or across him, whatever. But then he moves to take Brad Pitt's hands and beg. Mm-hmm. So he's this king getting down on his knees and begging to this guy. And you can tell Brad Pitt isn't really sure what he's supposed to do. Like, his reaction is totally, I'm not a very good actor against this Shakespearean actor, look on his face. And it just, they should have just focused on.
First of all, it's a bad movie. Is that Wolfgang Peterson?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad movie. Bad movie. Let's not go down the bad movie route right now. That's a bad movie. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. There's a lot more bad than good.
You've got to really Sword and Sandal films. It's a tough nut to crack because that can be either good or incredibly hokey.
Well, they made a Ben-Hur. Did anybody see Ben-Hur?
98% of them are incredibly hokey.
Yes.
Like, you really, I mean, at the end of the day, you have like Ben-Hur and you have Gladiator. Mm-hmm. And everything else.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Now, speaking of Ben-Hur, did you see Ben-Hur? Who saw Ben-Hur?
The new one?
Yeah.
That's another one where I'm like, who decided this was a good idea?
Right. Instead of Chuck Bronson, you have some guy who I don't even know. Who's like who remakes something with Chuck Heston in it like that as the lead, and then make it with a no-namer or a guy who's like not even really well known? Like, how do you do that?
Well, even that, it was like, who and what pitch meeting were you in? Where someone said, "Yeah, remake Ben-Hur." That's everybody people want to see that. How much is that going to cost?
Well, you know how Hollywood's stupid, and they follow the latest trend. So people started making, like Noah, right? So Noah was 2014, and then Exodus. Oh, they're making Sword and Sandal movies. We got one that we bought. We still have Ben-Hur. Let's make that before anybody else makes another one, and let's get on that train. It's just they just follow this like sheep, in the next movie.
A lot of it, they say, is pretty well known. A lot of it is just flat out competition.
True. You're
making a Sword and Sandals film? We're going to make our own.
Right.
We're going to make ours.
Whose is better? Right.
We'll get yours. We'll ride your coattails. You're going to ride ours.
Just like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp and Volcano and Dante's Peak and Armageddon and Deep Impact. They were all the same movie at the same year. They just had
Life, that movie that had Ryan Reynolds in it.
Yep.
They had to bump their release date to get away from 20th Century Fox, and Ridley Scott raised a big ruckus about it. It's kind of an alien type film.
Sure.
And he was upset it was going to be so close to Alien Covenant, and he forced his hand.
Oh. And
they had to bump their release date to another time.
God, that's power, man. He's got some power in Hollywood.
He's no lightweight in the town.
No.
Yeah, he's got his hands, and it isn't like when you see a Ridley Scott film, it's like, oh, it's all he's got going on. Scott Free Productions has their hand in a lot of different things.
Yeah. I mean, they were. I thought they were going to take a look at something from Jason Catron and Craig Miller back in the day.
Oh, man.
Remember that? We were really hoping that they would. We thought we had that guy. Like, he was interested in our story.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and he was talking about how Ridley wants to do it. He's going to be doing his own Western soon. It's going to be his Searchers.
Ridley Scott's own Searchers.
Right.
And I even lost track of what I wanted to say in that meeting.
Right.
Because when he said, well, he's got Searchers, I was like, could you tell us more about that?
Was that the one? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, man. I was like, this guy, Scott's gonna read our screenplay, or Scott Free, anyways. Oh man, pipe dream, baby. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Craig, I want to talk about a movie that I thought I was gonna own. Like you walk out of a movie theater, and you immediately sometimes say, "Oh, I'm buying that one. I'm gonna watch that one over and over and over and over and over and over and over again." Right? So I fell in love with Black Swan when I first saw it. I thought it was just fucking amazing. And then on second viewing, didn't have the same impact. So it wasn't a movie that I felt like I could keep going back to. I think it's because, again, he tells stories that have like an impact, and they're just, you have to see them. And sometimes their first viewing is all you truly need, because that's the most important, that's the most impactful part of the tale.
Yeah. Because his movies, I deeply believe that his films, more than any other filmmaker, is, even though you think you know what's going on, like you never know what the movie's going to do next.
Right.
They're unpredictable.
Right.
And you take that unpredictable nature out of them, and they lose their impact a little bit. You start
you do.
Like I started admiring the craft of his films, more and more as I watched them. But I've watched Black Swan twice. but I haven't watched it again. Not because I don't like it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's not. Yeah,
right. It's not a movie you can just throw in, like you were saying earlier. It's not a movie you can throw on YouTube and just, and I used to buy a lot of movies, right? I used to always buy the movies I wanted to see, and then I started finding out that I may have wanted to watch it again, but I'm never throwing it in. Like, how many times do I stand there looking at my movie collection and say, what do I feel like tonight? And then you just keep going, you're like, these are all great movies, but I don't know what I want to watch tonight.
It's very rare that I sit down now and watch, even though I do it, it's rare for me to watch an entire movie. I grab snippets of films.
What about Serenity? Did you watch Serenity in entirety or just the snippets?
I watched... this is what I wanted to say about Serenity. No, I didn't watch the entire thing.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to say something about Serenity. I skipped over somewhere on the 30 to 45 minute mark, I think it is. It bogs itself down a little bit, and I just fast forwarded through that.
Okay.
Or I just chapter skipped, so I knew where I wanted to go.
Sure.
But Serenity, it was interesting as I popped Serenity and hadn't seen Serenity in who knows how long. It has the same problem Avengers does. The first 10 minutes are horrible.
Oh.
The first 10 minutes, of Serenity, they do that getaway. They rob like a bank or something on this planet.
Yeah.
And then they have to get away. But I remember when I went to see Serenity in the theaters, I'd never seen Firefly.
Okay.
I just knew it was a science fiction film, and I liked Nathan Fillion. And I needed something to go see. So I went to see it. And I remember it brought back the memory of me in the theater there, and I saw it in Birmingham there. I remember I was eating my popcorn, and the first 5 minutes ago, I was like, oh, my popcorn's gone. I'm going to leave.
The popcorn rule.
And,
yeah.
The popcorn rule. And popcorn's gone. I'm going to leave. But then it got its groove going, and I liked the movie quite a bit. I like Serenity a lot. Like I'd said
I love it.
on my message is that Joss Whedon I'd love to see a Joss Whedon Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
sure.
But
it's a very good movie. It's a very good movie.
But there's the very first shot in Serenity is awesome. I didn't know who Nathan Fillion really was, and I never saw Firefly. I think I might have heard of it, maybe, right? So when I watched Serenity, when that flap flies off and goes over to the window and he ducks, like, whoa, what was that? And just his reaction, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this guy.
Yeah.
Like I immediately knew that this guy had something. Like he's got that charisma and that way about him.
Well, the opening's cool because he walks through the whole ship and you meet everybody. And that's cool.
Yeah.
But when they go down to the planet and there's that odd getaway, and then the effects on their little vehicle are not all that great.
I don't remember that part.
And, well, you don't remember it because it was bad.
Oh, there you go. Hey, that solved that problem.
That's exactly why. It's kind of like, could you recount the beginning of Avengers to me that well? No, because it was bad and you blocked it.
I've seen it more than I've seen Serenity, so I can, and unfortunately, I can totally see it right now. The Loki, Portal, Hawkeye, Nick Fury racing around in the bad car chase. Yeah, bad.
Well, the fact that Loki's got to get away in the back of a Jeep.
Yeah. Okay, but back to Black Swan and like movies that I thought I was gonna buy, right? Like I got this collection of movies that I thought I'd watch again. I'm not watching them, but I didn't buy Black Swan, but I did take Tina to see it, or at least I saw it again. I forgot if I saw it with her or not first. But yeah, it's a great movie, and I love again how he gets in someone's head, right? And you're seeing it from their point of view, and a lot of it, his movies have to do with, is this really happening, or is this just they're in their imagination?
Well, yeah, it has a lot to do with like that whole one person's reality is not the same as another person's reality. Right. You experience the world in much different ways than everyone else does. One thing that you find, what emotions you're feeling and how you're reacting to things is not how someone else does. And that's another fallacy of what goes on now is that if I feel this way, everyone else needs to feel this way.
Right.
That's not the case, obviously. Right. How you feel, I'm not responsible for how you feel.
Right.
But you experience things in a much different way than I do. Something might scare you, and I'm just like, meh, whatever.
Right.
Or it might terrify me, and then you just walk on by. But his movies are, you're right, absolutely. It's very, like you're experiencing it through her mind and how she's viewing things and reacting to things.
Yeah. And
it's completely in her head. I love the ecstasy scene. I think the ecstasy scene is great.
Absolutely.
Like especially when they snap out of it. We gotta get out of here.
Oh yeah, man. And I just you talking about Requiem for a Dream? Or
no, when they take ecstasy.
Oh
in,
yes.
Black Swan? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's a good scene.
So that movie's got a really great suspense to it. You're trying to figure out, like, is it in her imagination? Is she infected with something, or is she going to become this whatever? And then when you find out, she's the other person as well, it's just like, it's cool. Okay, so it actually, his movies are layered. And I said that to Paul about the Mother as soon as it was over, and I was like, kind of like, wow. And Paul was like, well, okay, I didn't like that very much. And I was like,
well, you know what Black Swan was like after the first or second scene with Mila Kunis in it, and Black Swan, I was like, that's not. No, they're the same person. But then the movie makes me keep questioning if I'm right or I'm wrong.
That's the brilliance of it, right?
I was just like, wait a minute, I thought, no, maybe she is real. Well, wait, no, she can't. Well. Maybe she is real. Then by the end, when she stabs herself and so on, and you're like, oh, it all starts making sense.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great movie. But again, it's a movie that I think every movie on the list here is something that I can't re-watch because they're powerful, man. He's got impact. He's got something about him, but at the same time, he's a bit pretentious. He only gives you so much, and
he's totally pretentious. That's part of what makes him so good. He's totally pretentious.
So Mother really has I think a lot of people just think it's a pretentious piece of art shit, right? That's what it's going to be seen as by a lot of people. I have no doubt.
When he showed up, I want to say it was the Black Swan junket, because Black Swan was up for some Oscars or some awards like BAFTAs or whatever the hell they are at the end of that year. Yeah, well, Natalie Portman won that year.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
She won that year, and I was up for a bunch of other films. But he kept showing up at these award shows wearing a scarf. Wow, you start wearing a scarf as a director, like you've reached the epitome of cliche right then and there, which is one of the reasons why when they announced Colin Trevorrow to direct Star Wars, the photograph they had of him was he was wearing a scarf, and you don't direct a Jurassic Park film and wear a scarf.
Okay, now was it like a winter scarf or was it a dress scarf?
It was like a dress scarf.
Okay.
Like those dress scarves, like the French auteurs would always wear. Like it was like that. And Colin Trevorrow, I was like, dude, you just made a Jurassic Park film. You can't wear a scarf. Aronofsky, you can wear it, and you're like, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah, he's got that David Lynch, Cronenberg pretentiousness.
I mean, he does because that's part that makes him who he is.
Absolutely, no. Every movie he has made has been the way he wants to say it, right? The way he wants to tell it, and so it's what he does. And he doesn't pull any punches.
Yeah, I'd probably hate having a conversation with him, but I love his films.
Yeah,
I do too. Say, but I'd probably be like 5 minutes in, like, this guy is so fucking full of himself.
Right.
That's who he is. Yeah.
But Black Swan also had one of the hottest scenes, which was Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman going at it.
I don't know if I think that and her masturbation scene are neck and neck.
That was pretty hot stuff. Pretty hot stuff, absolutely. I loved having Vincent Cassel. Is it Cassel or Castle? Cassel. I loved him in it as the authority guy. Like making sure in breaking these women.
Yes.
Into what he wanted them to achieve. I mean, like what?
And Winona Ryder's good in it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Her one scene, yeah.
Right.
And who plays her mother?
That's a great question. Who does play? You're gonna do it?
Right
do it. Yeah, because it's somebody. It's somebody good. And that's about it. I think that's. I don't think there's anybody else in it. That's your main. Your main crew, but
God, that was 2010.
Yeah,
God, damn.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly.
Time sure flies.
And then that's only his.
Oh shit! It was Barbara Hershey. No.
Yeah.
No. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Barbara Hershey. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
And she was amazing in it.
She's very good.
So Darren Aronofsky, it's funny. So we did the Christopher Nolan retrospective, right, or the talk on Christopher Nolan, and now we're doing an Aronofsky piece. We had a lot of criticism for Nolan, and he makes some really good movies. And then you have Aronofsky, who has made about the same amount of movies, because they both have only made about 10 movies, right? And we haven't really, besides being pretentious, what are the faults of Aronofsky? He gets his characters. He understands how to get to his actors to get a character to do something or to make magic happen. He's got a great eye for where the camera needs to be. He knows what he wants to say and he says it. Okay, so he's pretentious, right? But what else? Does he never finishes, like, because all of his movies end up in a question mark?
Well, it's like I'd said before. I think.
Hey, can you?
He has a very hard time with.
You're sinking in the frame there, brother.
I moved that. Yeah, I was trying to make sure my monitor didn't shut off. But I think he has a hard time with, unless it's something that is off kilter or builds like a sequence that's building in a very kind of kinetic way. I think he just has a hard time with two people talking to each other about anything normal.
I think
it's not his strength. It's just not his strength.
Okay, I'm going to look for that.
And he's not good at. He improved with Noah, but he's got a hard time with action. He's not good at action.
He doesn't do a lot of action.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
he's not good at blocking that out.
I mean, the only
even if it's just two people like in a personal scuffle, it's just not his thing.
Okay. So he's got a, maybe it wouldn't be good for a superhero movie then, right? He doesn't have
probably not. No,
right.
Probably not.
So yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna think of a critique for him, it'd be his conclusions, like his endings. And while I don't need everything handed to me, I do like a little bit of resolution. I don't like everything to be such an open book ending. And most of his movies are very.
You think so?
Subjective.
I think all his movies are pretty concretely.
I think they're all subjective,
but I think Mother leaves it open.
Mother leaves it open. Black Swans. I mean, it kind of finishes it off the way it should. Obviously, imagine
she dies,
right? But the Wrestler. I say The Fountain. I really didn't get through. Okay, so maybe just a couple movies there that he's done.
Requiem's got a pretty solid ending there. You know where that's going.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe it's just the down factor that everything ends at such a down note on all his movies.
Oh, he's not a happy filmmaker.
No, and I don't need to. He don't need to be a happy movie. He's not
interested in happy resolutions and and rainbows and people getting anywhere else.
None of his movies, none, have a happy ending.
Oh no,
not one. Not even a middle ending, like a medium-sized ending. No, they're all super negative.
They're all super downers.
Yeah,
he strikes me as the kind of guy who thinks a happy movie ending is like a sellout.
That's maybe. Or well, to me, I think he thinks a happy ending is the end of Black Swan.
What do you mean? It ended just how it should have. She got what she wanted.
Exactly.
Well, she did get what she wanted, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. But so maybe that's the point. Is his movies resonate with me. They're very powerful, but they're too negative for me to want to keep rewatching.
Well, he's showing you. I wouldn't say the negative is one way to say it, but I would say they're showing you the dark side of humanity.
That's negative.
And it's not something you really want to get into on a daily basis. It's good to look at it and get reminded of it, but by and large, it's kind of like I don't really need to see that again, do I? But he's looking. He's not sugarcoating anything. He's like, this is who we are as people.
No, that's what I love about him. He's
pretty.
Stuffed in your throat.
We're pretty ugly.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, go next door and watch the Smurf movie.
Yeah, he has the pulse on what mankind's all about. So his movies do step on your throat, and he doesn't let up. And when I think about it, I think the movies that I like to rewatch most often are the fun, energetic movies that I tend to rewatch more often. Maybe the ones that have not a happy ending, but not such a complete downer. Although I have probably watched 12 Monkeys and Seven and those movies to death, the Fight Club, and there's not really happy endings there either.
I guess Fight Club's kind of a happy ending
in a way.
Credit card companies get destroyed.
Yeah,
he gets rid of his alter.
Well, it's a happy ending for him. It's just
it's totally a happy ending for him.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I tend to watch the ones that have more energy. But his movies are just so intense. My God, like Mother. I don't think there's any music in the movie. and there's just a lot of silence, and I think you're gonna love it for all that.
He's somebody that I wish would at least one time do something like make a Cormac McCarthy novel adaptation. Like, can you imagine if he'd have made The Road?
Oh,
or if he would make a Stephen King adaptation.
Blood Meridian.
Like, he just has. Oh, let's not even go there, for God's sakes. But I'm glad. Let me just state for the record, I'm glad that James Franco's Blood Meridian film did not get off the ground.
James Franco was trying to do Blood Meridian?
Yes, he was trying to make Blood Meridian. Yeah, and he shot a test reel, I think, of one of the scenes in the film, one of the more popular scenes out of the book, campfire scene.
I'm just cheering life for not letting that happen. Here's cheers to the world.
He's far more suited to the disaster artist, the whole room type material than anything else. Like, Dave Franco is one of those guys, like, I admire his ambition, and he pumps out material and makes movies, and he's not lazy by any means. He's a very ambitious guy, but I don't know how successful all his films have been, like, as movies.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just kind of like,
they're good experiments. Right, true. Now you're talking about James Franco, right? Because Dave Franco is his brother.
Dave Franco's the younger brother.
Yeah, right.
Who kind of looks like a
hobbit.
Yeah, exactly. Bumpity bump, what the hell are we talking about?
Black Swan.
Oh yeah, Blood Meridian. And the Road and everything else. And
yeah.
I would love to see a Darren Aronofsky Pet Sematary. That'd be something else.
Oh man.
Stephen King book, Black Pet Cemetery.
Right.
Can you even imagine how creepy crawly that movie be? You'd be like, oh my god, I get to watch this. Oh.
That would be awesome. There's dream makers, there's dreams out there, and that's one of them. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. For him to, cool. I just wish he would do something like that. As like, like I make all these really abstract movies that are out of my own cloth.
Here's something fun.
I'll do one for the studio and for the fans, and so you guys can speculate on this for the next. You guys get your money back out of it, and I'll be happy, and you'll be happy, and blah blah blah.
Right. He almost needs like a critical failure in order to do that.
He might, depending on how Mother comes out of this whole debacle.
Right.
It's not going to make any money. It costs a lot more than one of his movies should because it had Jennifer Lawrence and everybody else in it.
Right.
It's probably his most well-known.
And I really liked her in this. She's really, really good.
That's really good because I'm kind of getting sick of her. So
I actually really like her. I like her more and more I see her. Actually, I really, really kind of fell in love with her. She's a good actress. She's not Jennifer Connelly, but she's a good actress.
Did you know she and Aronofsky started dating?
Yep. Yeah. After I saw the movie, I started reading into a lot of things. I wanted to find out more and more and more. That's a good movie to me. Is when as soon as I'm over with it, done with it, I start thinking about it, and then I want to learn about it. What kind of, go on IMDb and find out just more, and it just makes me uncover everything. I love that.
I gotta give Darren credit. Like, he always gets these girls in their prime because he had Rachel Weisz when she was hot. And she was super hot.
Oh yeah.
And then when they broke up, she went off with Daniel Craig. And now he's got her, Jennifer Lawrence, in her prime years. And then he'll probably cast her off, and she'll go marry Seth Rogen or somebody. And then he'll get into with somebody else,
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so I think we both like this one. The one before Black Swan is something I never even heard of until I saw it on video. That was The Wrestler.
Isn't Noah before Black Swan? No, Noah's after Black Swan.
Nope. Yeah, no, I said yeah, but The Wrestler is before Black Swan.
Then Wrestler's before Black Swan. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that until I. Well, you go first here on Wrestler.
Well,
Did you see it theater, or where'd you see it?
DVD.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't even hear of it. Like I totally missed it. Like
I was overseas when it came out,
and it was 2 years after The Fountain, and I didn't really like The Fountain, so I completely didn't even hear about this. I was
excited to see The Fountain. I was living in Austin, and I knew things were going bad when I went to the Alamo, and there was no one there.
Oh wow!
It was me and like 5 other people opening weekend. I was like, because Austin's a pretty tight knit film community.
Sure.
So if word got out that it wasn't that good, then I
watched that one also on video, and I didn't get it. I don't think I finished it. I was like, what is going on here?
the end, the music by Clint Mansell's "The Road to Death is Awe," and the combination of the imagery in that. But The Fountain is one of those films, and I'm still going to talk about Wrestler before I forget. Is The Fountain is one of those films where the ambitions of The Fountain got murdered by the budget.
Oh. Because
he envisioned it as like a $65 million film, or needed to be $65 million, whatever that number is, and they said, "Well, we'll give you 30." And he was like, "Oh, God," and he tried to do what he could, but cut the screenplay down, and admits to a certain degree that what he tried to make and what he set out to make is not the same thing.
Yeah, which happens so often, I imagine.
He admits to that, but at least he tried.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, so I didn't get to finish it, but The Wrestler. So I saw it on video, and I just loved the movie. I couldn't stop watching that movie. It was just such an amazing interpersonal tale of this guy making mistakes and trying to rebuild it, and then making more mistakes, and just never getting out of that.
Did you know who he wanted instead of Mickey Rourke? You know who his first choice was?
No, not at all.
Nicolas Cage.
Oh my God.
Nicolas Cage was not interested in going through any kind of physical transformation to be the wrestler.
I'm so glad, because he would not have been right for that role.
No, it's one of those things you can't imagine anyone else but Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke is that role, right? He is the wrestler. The Ram.
The Ram.
So what did you think about it? So I loved it. What did you think about it?
I had a hard time getting through it. Okay. It took me 3 tries to get through it. So what I did was it came out when I was overseas, and I wanted to see it, but I didn't want to watch a Haji copy of it.
Yep.
Fake copy.
Yep.
So when I was flying back to Dubai, it was on the airplane.
Okay.
I was like, cool, I'm going to watch the wrestling. And I wasn't tired or anything. Like, I was primed. I was ready to watch it. And after like 20 minutes, I was like, this is really fucking hard to watch.
Why?
It's depressing the shit out of me.
Depressing, okay.
It was depressing the crap out of me with this guy who had teetered on fame at some point when wrestling got big, never quite got into the big house like the Hulk Hogan, but skirted along the edge, and then because there's nothing else for that guy to do in life, he just kept doing that thing on the fringes, and the paychecks started getting less and less and less, and he was kind of a joke of what he used to be.
Right.
And that was just really, for whatever reason, was very hard to watch, and he'd never given up on who he was at that point. In his mind, he was still that guy. But the rest of the world saw him for what he was. He was always like, "Oh, I can't believe you locked me out of my house," or "I can't believe this," or "Of course this girl likes me." Because he thinks they're all still looking at the Ram. He doesn't understand that everyone else is looking at him for who he really is. He hasn't come to grips with that yet. And it's not until after his heart attack that he comes to agreement with where he's gotten to in life and what he is. And that's when it slides, And so that was just hard. It was hard to watch someone in that not delusionment, but still holding out hope for the big breakthrough when you're well past the point of entry.
Right.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It was just
hard.
It's
powerful, man. It's hard to watch. Yeah. I remember, I think I did watch it in 2 pieces too, because I remember it being towards probably, I forget which part, but I remember it getting intense where you're just like, I can't keep watching him do this right now.
It wasn't until because the first 20 minutes, and then I turned it off and I watched something else. And then I bought it in the hotel.
Okay.
And then after he had his heart attack, I was like, okay, I got to watch the rest of this movie.
Okay.
Now I got to finish it. But I just couldn't do it at that point, and then watch the rest of it again. But when I went back to watch it the third time, on my third attempt, I watched it from a later. I didn't start where I left off. I backed it up a little bit to get back into the groove of the story.
Right.
So that I watched the rest of it that way. Didn't go back to the beginning, but I watched a good portion of it.
Okay, so I think I watched it in it probably two turns, and it was also because it was hard to get through. Because it's
hard to stomach.
Yeah, it was. I forgot which part it was, but I was like, oh man, I can't take any more of this guy doing this to himself. I'm feeling uncomfortable. And then I think I finished the next day.
Buying steroids and injecting himself, and he's just then going to these late night, one of the scenes that's really hard for me to watch was he's in, I think they're at a school. It's for a wrestling match. It's before a wrestling match, he's with the other wrestlers, and he's giving this kid, like this younger guy, like, you do this, and that'll come by, and the guy's like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks for the advice. But you can tell the guy's like, oh, man, this old guy's giving me this fucking advice. But I'll play along with him because I don't want to be insulting.
Oh, is that okay? But, so you caught that from the guy.
Yeah, but so it has that whole, like, it's kind of like, I remember when I was like 25 in the gym, and there'd be some older guy who may have been in shape at one point, but definitely wasn't in shape now.
Right.
And he was like, hey, you know, if you do it like this, and he was like, oh, okay, well, thanks. Because I don't want to be a dick.
Right.
It's like for you to give anybody advice. But you're like, oh, okay, all right, cool. And that was the same vibe I got from this. Guy was like, oh, okay, Ram, like, you never made it in the professional wrestling world, but I'll listen to you. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's
interesting. Well, I thought was kind of... Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, that's what his movies do. They speak to you on different levels, and you caught something there really cool. Just a passing scene, you know.
Well, his movies live a lot in the details.
Exactly. Yeah.
They really live in the details. That's one of the reasons I don't think Fountain's very successful. I think Fountain was beyond his reach at that point.
Do you recommend I watch it?
What, The Fountain?
Yeah.
Can.
I just don't really want to, but if you think it's not a movie that you need to see, okay.
It's not. It's definitely the lowest. It's his least favorite film of his. Okay. My least favorite film of his, and I think it has more to do with there's a guy. He's coming off Requiem. He's been accepted as a filmmaker. He's had this passion project idea for a film since he was a teenager.
Right.
He doesn't have the resources to quite pull it off, but he still tries. So it's not a failure by any stretch of the imagination. There's very interesting things in the movie. Hugh Jackman's good in it. The visual effects are interesting. The ideas are very interesting. And I'm saying this, like, I might go back and watch The Fountain tomorrow and have a whole new appreciation for it. I don't know. But based on when I first saw it, I was kind of like, it just missed the mark.
Huh.
It
okay.
Just didn't quite. Yeah.
Well, I'm very selective with what I have time to watch these days. I'm curious about it because I never gave it a chance, you know. And I should try to see it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Because that's the only movie of his that I have not really truly seen. But this next one is the one I can't wait to talk about. His first real movie, not including Pi, which was his very first. It was an 80-minute movie, I believe. I don't think that's technically called a feature, but. Requiem for a Dream is one of the most amazing movies I ever saw.
That is, I still think that's probably I think it's still his best film.
It's my favorite film of his, yeah, and I think might be absolutely his best. Looking at his list, absolutely his best movie.
I think he's he shares that. No, I can't say that. I was going to compare him to Spike Lee because Spike Lee's best film was Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
Which was like his second feature. And then everything else after that was like, yeah, it's okay.
Right.
But because Requiem for a Dream, just like Do the Right Thing, was so exciting, so well made, and so
good.
Different, and so interesting. Everything else, unless you couldn't do that again.
No.
Because it wasn't really possible.
Right. Now, I think Aronofsky's made better movies than Spike Lee, but they have not lived up to Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, so you can compare Black Swan or Rustler up against anything Spike Lee's done, and Aronofsky's going to come out on top.
Absolutely.
But Requiem for a Dream hit me so hard when I saw it.
I
was like, good God, like, who made this movie? Like, I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah, exactly, because no one knew. Now, it came out in 2000, right? So just before we went to film school, and it was that movie and Fight Club which drew me to go to film school.
Oh, okay.
It was those two movies that changed me. And when I saw, I had went to a screenwriting course in Detroit, and it was like a 5-person thing, and the guy knew that I was super interested in it. I had a screenplay that I was writing, and he could tell that I was, doing something. Right. And so he gave me a lot of attention as far as like he wanted to read my stuff. He gave me a lot of good notes, and I was writing Ostinato. And
okay.
So he and I, one day he called me and said, before we all had, I think, cell phones all over the place, right? So he calls me and says, hey, I'm going to go see a movie in Main Art Theater. Want to come see it with me? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I met him up there, got high in his van. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then we went to see this movie. Right. Right. And so me and this guy went to go see this movie, who I barely know this guy, and watch Requiem for a Dream, and I could not believe what I was watching.
At what point in the movie did you not believe you couldn't believe what you were watching? At what point?
It was probably in the first 10 minutes.
Really?
Just because of the editing and the style. And,
like the first time they got high?
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is really freaking cool. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, this is really an awesome filmmaker. And it really started getting my engines running about filmmaking. And then I was like, I just don't want to write. I want to go make movies.
It's weird to think that that's Jared Leto.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's odd to
Marlon
think that's him.
Wayans.
Yeah, Marlon Wayans. Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly.
Marlon Wayans is the character who's unwittingly pulled into his shenanigans, so to speak.
Yeah, and he's probably the best he's ever been in that movie.
Oh, by hands down.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Connelly is at her most vulnerable in that movie for sure.
Oh my goodness, and she's so beautiful in that movie.
You just want to reach into the screen and grab her and like give her a hug.
I'll take care of you.
Tell her like it's gonna be okay. I'll take care of you.
Right.
You haven't got to go back to that world.
Right. Right. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, it didn't take me long to realize I was watching something special, right? And I was like, this is so cool, but I can't give you a moment because even though I just watched it recently. I forget what moment it was, but I remember watching it again, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. But it was early on. It was probably in the first act where I was like, this is special. Whether it was 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I was like, this is special. This guy has got some really amazing abilities. I am in love with what I'm watching. This is crazy. Am I just high, or is this really good?
You've got to go back and see.
Right.
Got to watch it straight.
But it was one of those movies that changed me. It changed me, man, because of the editing, the style, the acting, the visceral energy of the spiral effect of going downward.
It's one of those movies where, like, the highest compliment that I can pay a movie, I think sometimes, is that movie's alive.
It is absolutely alive.
It's like a living thing.
Yes.
Like Pulp Fiction, to me, Pulp Fiction's alive.
Okay. Yep.
And not some more anymore. I don't watch it. The first time I saw it, it was alive.
Oh yeah.
Now I just like it's good. But every time I watch Requiem, like Requiem is like a living, breathing thing. You know?
Every scene, every
daring.
shot.
It's like daring you to look at it.
Right.
Keep watching.
But every scene, every shot, nothing's wasted. Like it is all it's just every particular shot is just amazing.
And it has something to say. Like it really has a lot to say about it. So many things.
And that's one thing that I really love about it. It has a lot of effect, but every character in the story revolves around this particular aspect, right? About addiction.
Yeah, right.
And no one is off limits.
And nobody gets off the hook. Like there's no excuses.
Right.
There's no poor this person that. There's no like you did that to yourself.
Right. Right. Even the old lady, even Ellen Bernstein, who did it to herself only because she who took the advice of her stupid friend downstairs and decided to take these pills because she wanted to lose some weight because she was hoping to be on TV. And she's going a little bonkers. This happens. And then it's not her fault she gets hooked on drugs. She has no idea what they're supposed to do to her or what they can do to her.
And a great scene in that movie, one of so many great scenes, is when the son hears her grinding her teeth.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "You're a junkie, Mom." And she's like, "What? No, I just take some pills."
He's a nice doctor. He's a nice doctor.
He's a nice doctor. And it's like, even though he's in his right to be concerned and scald her, his level of hypocrisy in that scene about who he is and how he relates to his mom is just, horrible.
Right. He's a complete junkie. And but he sees it in her, and it's like, and so now the doctor just walks in the first time, and they make a very good point of him not looking up at her. He walks in, keeps his head down. I hear you want to lose some weight? Yeah? Okay. Here, I'll write you a script. And he walks out.
Yep.
And it's like, wow. And then he sees her again, and he's like, I'm having trouble. And then she starts freaking out again because she starts, she's like, starts to hear something.
She hears the refrigerator.
Right, exactly. Because and then the way the camera's set up and it's like
so paranoid.
Oh my God, it's so amazing and haunting. And it says a lot about our society before we got into the whole drug the pill thing.
Well, it's like him seeing the level of consumerism and the consumerism and drug addiction and prescription drug addiction and society addiction to consumerism and things like that, even though they were already prevalent, like he was ahead of the curve.
Right.
You know, typically good artists see things a few ways off and make a statement ahead of time.
And he's done it several times.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it several times. It was
totally.
With Mother, which is actually kind of after the fact now, but.
Well, he did it with Fame, with Black Swan, with everybody seeking fame,
true,
and seeking gratification and people
right.
being recognized. And I think even though you've got a point about him being his idea of Mother Earth and so on, like even though it's being talked about now,
mm-hmm.
I think in the next coming years it's going to be more of a talking point.
Probably
he'll be a little bit
right.
ahead of it because even though you talk about it, I talk about it. Not everybody sees it as a thing.
Right. And just
some people are like, it'll be fine,
exactly. No, you're absolutely right. But yeah, so with Requiem for a Dream, it kind of shook me up, and with drug addiction, it's not just about drug addiction, it's also about TV addiction, and that whole thing. So it has to do with a lot of different things. But the one thing that I'll always take from it is if you want to get somebody scared straight, have them watch this movie, right?
Dude, I fully believe that Requiem for a Dream should be required viewing in like some kind of social studies class.
Yeah, but you can't have there's a huge sex scene and he gives a blowjob. You can't show that in school.
So why not?
They've seen it afterwards, anyways, right?
Yeah, I mean, what kid is not? If they want to see that, they can just go home and go on the internet.
That's true. It's all on there. Yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely right about that.
They're seeing it, and you should, if you're going to experience that. If you're first, make your first exposure somewhat of fear, like watching that girl move from she has sex with the guy that she knows to get the money
and parties with. I'm saying and then sex with the guy.
And then the way that her steps into selling herself into prostitution.
And her character has a huge arc that way because she starts off by not wanting to go on that date with that one guy because she doesn't want to do it, and then she decides to do it to have sex with him just for the money, and
because Jared Leto goads her into it,
right? And then blames her for it.
Just do it, and then is mad at her for it.
Right.
Like Jared Leto is a horrible character in that movie.
Oh, he's a horrible person.
He's a horrible person. That's what
he's a great character. Yeah,
great character, horrible person.
Yeah, he is.
You think about it, he ruins everyone's lives in that movie.
Yep.
He does, even his mom, because he ignores and neglects his mother.
Yep. Who needs him? Absolutely.
Who totally needs him.
Yeah, and he neglects her. Forsakes his girlfriend, who's just amazing to him.
He sets around that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got Marlon or Tyrone, I believe his name is.
Tyrone was done. Tyrone was like, let's not spend any more money. Let's not. I got my savings. And he's like, no, man, come on. We'll spend this money, and then we'll get back on track, man. Just like in the wintertime or the summer or whatever. And draws Marlon. Marlon Wayans is like an unfortunate. I mean, he makes his own choices. He's an adult, but he's an unfortunate bystander who gets drawn into this thing with Leto.
Right.
Winds up in jail for the rest of his fucking life.
Right.
In the South. And Jared Leto ruins everyone's lives in that.
Yeah, he is a bad person. And thinking about the movie, you asked me what moment kind of got me, and I think I remember one of them when I first saw it was where Marlon is talking to the drug dealer in the car, and he turns around and says, "Oh, you have a white driver," and they start firing at each other, and he gets covered with blood and runs out, and he's running around with a camera on his attachment, like the first time you saw that.
Yeah, he was one of the first people to do that.
Yeah. And when that happened, man, it was like so intense. You're just like right up in his face as he's running, and he's fucking freaking out, right? And then he gets cops catch him and all that.
Right? That's the midpoint, right?
It might be. You know what?
I think the midpoint is when you see all three of them falling apart like that, or all four of them.
That might be the midpoint. I forget now. Yeah, so the midpoint would be. I think it's asking him to go have sex with the guy.
Max.
I think that's the yeah. Yes, I think that's what it is, because that changes everything for his relationship with that, with her, and then it shows how much he really truly cares about anybody other than his addiction, right?
Yeah, like he can't deal with what he's asked her to do. She comes home and she's not. All she needs at that moment is his acceptance.
Right.
If she would have gotten his acceptance at that moment, she probably would have been a lot better off. But he rejects her. He soundly rejects her, and that's when things
right
slide away.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So she rejects him, and he's like, "Whoa, what did I do?" It's like, "You're a fucking dick."
Right.
Are you kidding me? Like, you're a fucking idiot.
And then there's another moment that is also very powerful, is where he's trying to save it because they don't have much, and she wants a hit at night, and he ends up going ahead and letting her do it, and they don't have any for the morning, and then she jumps on his throat saying, well, why'd you do it? You didn't have to do it. He's like, you begged me. And it's just like they get in a big fight about it because they're drug addicts, right? And they're just arguing about who did the last drugs.
Yep.
That might be right around there, too. I think because that's more the downfall of what happened with, the sex part. Yeah, it's just it's such a gut wrenching movie, and it's then when you get to the end where they're going on to Florida, and you listen to them, you're like, you guys have nothing. You're driving to Florida.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. And they get 600 miles away, and they're like, hey, we're 600 miles. And they're like, whoa, that's only 600 miles. But yeah, but it's 600 miles closer.
Boy, his freaking arm, the way that he keeps injecting that same spot, and his arm's all infected.
Right.
And
then they finally go to the hospital, and the doctor's like, oh, shit. He takes the drugs off the table, and the cops come. And Marlon, I'm like, why is Marlon sitting there?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, Tyrone, get the fuck out of there.
Like, leave. Like, that's just it. Like, Marlon Wayans gets screwed in that movie.
Yep.
Not to say he didn't make some bad choices.
Oh, no. Yeah,
he's too good of a friend. He's too good of a friend.
Right. And instead of leaving and just leaving him there on his own, he stays with them, and he gets caught. It sucks. Then they're in jail, and does he lose his arm at the end?
Yeah, they cut his arm off.
Yeah,
it amputates it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. And then she's in the psych ward, and they're taking the old lady.
The only one who may get out of that situation is if Jennifer Connelly breaks her addiction cycle.
True.
She still has a chance to get out. Like, he's missing an arm. But you're almost at the end of the movie, not the first time I saw it, but the second time I saw it, I was like, it's good. I'm glad you lost your arm.
Yeah. No, he's a horrible person.
Yeah, he's a horrible person.
Yeah. He fucked everyone up, and all for drugs, and that's what the movie's about. It's about what you do to people when you're on drugs.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a
destroy
shocking
everybody
movie
that you love. Yeah, destroy everyone you love.
Right.
Drag people into your addiction. Like, they become. That's what people that don't. That's one of the saddest things about addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs or sex or pills or money or whatever your addiction is what the person who's an addict doesn't understand is that whatever you're doing, if you've chosen to not be alone, if you've chosen to have a family and be around people, you are having an adverse effect on their ability to live a good life.
Right.
And addiction is a very selfish thing to get into.
It is, but you know what? It's something that once you start it, you have an addictive personality. You can't break it.
Yeah, right.
It's like I know people who have addictive personalities, and no matter what they do, whether it's video games or smoking cigarettes or beer or any kind of drugs, like or video games, whatever they do it hard. And they just get addicted to whatever they're doing, and they have to do it.
Yes, certain character traits are good traits to have in some fields, and bad things to have in others. If you're addictive, if you have an addictive personality, and you get into something like
building houses,
crunching numbers, or building homes, or something you can apply yourself to, that's great.
Yes.
But if you get into drugs, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
I have a very impulsive personality.
Mm-hmm.
So, which benefits me in some ways, but in some things I've got no business being involved in.
Right.
Like, don't even get me near a casino.
Yeah, okay.
I'm horrible. Like, I'm like, I'm going to bet on blackjack. I bet I can go over here and do this. I stopped gambling for that reason. I'm way too impulsive. And
if you see it, and you're willing to do something about it, then you can stop doing it. But then there's the addiction, like the drug addiction, where you got to have that hit, or you go through withdrawals, and you got to keep going through it. That's the downwards. It's you might just try it because you're young, and you're just being stupid, because we all try stupid shit, when we're young, and then if you do it once, it could hook you.
Like, you've got an excuse till you're about 25.
Right. True. Okay.
And then 25, after 25, you can't use the whole I'm a young idiot anymore. Like, you need to get your shit together.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't be when you're experimenting. You're typically experimenting when you're younger, and so it takes that one time to try it, and you could be hooked for life.
If you're a 50-year-old alcoholic, go get your shit together.
Right? Well, there's that, man. Is the people who just refuse to get help because they can't, because they don't want to.
It's interesting that that's the one addiction that never gets touched on in Requiem for a Dream is alcoholism.
Yeah, no, there's very little drinking in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about just drugs. They smoke pot too once in the movie.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like they're just using it for recreation.
Right, yeah, but that and ecstasy are just about having a fun time.
Right.
Just like heroin, it just bottoms you out, man, and ruins your fucking life. But when I saw Requiem for a Dream, it was like for me seeing Fight Club and as well as seeing Snatch. These all kind of came out relatively right around the same time in a couple years.
That's true, yeah.
And they had so much to say to me, and they really spoke to me in the visual sense, the editing, the music, iteration with or mixing in with everything, right? It was just fresh and new, and I was like, remember looking through Entertainment Weekly and seeing like these young filmmakers like David Fincher and Guy Ritchie and Aronofsky. I'm like, God, I can't wait to keep watching these guys. Like, these guys are amazing.
It's really interesting the way the filmmakers come out of that time period.
Yeah. I mean, they're right on the same time. Now, Fincher was a little bit earlier because he did Alien, but Fight Club was what, 99, 2000.
Yeah. Plus, he had The Game in there and Seven.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so he was not early on.
He wasn't a novice. He wasn't a novice anymore.
No, but he was still someone that everything he touched, I wanted to see. At that point,
yeah.
But Aronofsky, him and Guy Ritchie and Fincher were so pivotal for me in filmmaking at that point. And hell, my first short film had so much Guy Ritchie in it.
Well, plus we went to great pains to recreate that shot from Requiem for a Dream. Where the camera turned around the table.
Yeah.
Because that's that way that scene turns in Requiem for a Dream is just it. Like he's another one of those guys that filmmakers that has his cinematic visual instincts are so high. Like he knows how to shoot a scene. It's like David Fincher always says, there's a lot. What does he say? Shit. He either says there's a lot of different ways to shoot a scene, but only one of them is right. There's two ways to shoot a scene, and only one of them is right. Something like that.
Okay.
But he's got a very there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but there's only one right way.
Right. Okay. That's cool. I like that. And he knows the right way. So yeah, the scene in Playing with Matches was the wheelchair scene around the table, right?
Which holds up, by the way.
It does. Yeah. You've seen it recently. Yeah. It's a great scene, and because the colors look great, it's a great looking shot. And then you have Jack in the background, which you can still see in focus. And he's doing it. And he's like the lighting on him is perfect. The colors around him are perfect. That's an awesome shot. That was a really cool shot. We took a long time to get that shot.
Yeah, that turned up. And plus, we didn't have any playback. It's just going off the cam. Like I was operating the camera, right? So I would say like, I didn't quite get it. Let's do it again.
Right. And I had to go based upon you. Okay, so folks of the J. Craig, we have a short film on YouTube called Playing with Matches. It's my second short film at the school that we shot that name, and and we had a scene we were creating inside of a bar. We're at a table, and it was a story about selling your soul to the devil, and this guy was selling his soul at this particular moment. And the chair, we had a wheelchair with the camera on it, and Craig's operating the camera, 16 millimeter, and we had to go about quarter way around the table, all the way around the table. And as we went around the table, the scene changed from a real dark. It was like the dark first, and then it changed to light, with a bodyguard coming behind, and my dad is the bartender way in the background, and with like a light around him. And it just had a really awesome look to it. And it took it forever, take after take.
Because you're shooting 16 millimeter, you got to pull focus.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure the light is right. I mean, it's the aperture, all those things.
You got to walk it through several times with the pulling focus. You got to make sure you got the right movement. You got to make sure your actors are matching up with that. I mean, it took a while, but
you don't have unlimited amount of film.
Yeah.
To do it, you can't do it like 5 times.
Right.
If you do it 3 times, that's enough.
And it was a long shot too.
It was a long shot. Like when I watched it again on YouTube, I was like, that actually turned out really well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great looking shot. So
it's got another good shot in it too that we did outside your house where Brandon walks up and it's the house, but then it pulls back and Brandon walks into the shot.
Yeah, Yeah,
that's another good shot.
There's a lot of really good shots in that movie. It's a fun movie. So folks,
I wish I would have shot the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you as well as I know you now. I
remember seeing the other footage you got. Not that it's not good, but I was like, I wish I would have shot the whole thing.
Yeah, well, man, Brandon was. I thought he had a pretty good eye. He did a pretty good job, but
it doesn't look bad. No, I was looking at it more from like a continuity. Sense, because we were trying different things. Like, what if it went from this to this? What if you just like there's the stuff that we did? We're trying to get away from like stagnant shots.
Sure. Yeah, we had a lot of motion.
To keep the camera moving around.
Yeah, we had a lot of movement in the camera. But yeah, if you're out there interested, folks, watch Playing with Matches. You'll find it on the YouTube channel when you're looking for the J. Right. Yeah. So besides that, man, he did Pi, which I watched. I bought actually because I was like in love with the guy, so I started buying everything he made.
Haven't seen that forever, to be honest with you.
It's interesting. It's crazy. It's kooky. It's an Aronofsky movie.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
What did I say to you when I first saw Mother? I said, it's horrible. It's intense. It's something. It's something. It's an Aronofsky movie.
something Aronofsky. Yeah, it's an Aronofsky film. That's all you got to say. It's kind of like
it's an Aronofsky movie, man.
You used to be able to say that about a Scorsese film. Well, it's a Scorsese film.
Sure.
You used to be able to say that. You used to be able to say about Fincher. Used to. It's been a while since you said that. Yeah. Didn't say that after I watched Benjamin Button.
No. Or I didn't see the Kiss of the Dragon tattoo or whatever.
Kiss of the Dragon tattoo is another one of these cold, sterile book adaptations he's into now. He's making he's making the World War Z sequel now.
I'll believe that when I see it.
I mean, he's attached to it.
Exactly. I know. I saw that and I was like, that sounds awesome, but I don't see that happening. But
I could have seen him making the first one.
That'd be cool. I would have liked to see him make a movie like that. Maybe it'd be more interesting, and maybe I'd get back onto his bandwagon again. But,
he's another one that gets attached to a bunch of stuff, and you're like, oh, really? And then it never materializes.
Yeah,
because he was going to make a Mission Impossible film at one point. And I was like, that's interesting. That would be cool. And then Oliver Stone was going to make one.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think I want to see a Mission Impossible Oliver Stone, but
not anymore. But back when he was good, back when he was still on cocaine, I would have watched.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those guys had their best movies when they were all coked up.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah. That's what drove a lot of Scorsese's early films, man. He was all wired up. But look at him on the set of Raging Bull. It looks like he weighs 130 pounds.
Yep.
Big gold chains.
He's
just all like, shoot this fucker! Come on. And oh yeah, man.
I love it.
Oh,
Craig, that's all I got tonight, man.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're 2 hours in, and I'm about to. Yeah, I got to take a little. I gotta wind down my night here. It's
all right.
9:36 here. You got anything else you want to say about Mr. Aronofsky?
I don't want to get into another long-winded segment because I could, but I won't.
Oh, so. I'm curious now, and just for the audience to say what they're
we were talking about before. We were talking about Requiem for a Dream. We started going back and forth on the state of the prescription drug trade in the States and healthcare.
Oh,
and we were going to talk about all that, but that's another good 40 minutes.
Oh man, Craig, thanks for putting the brakes on that. I wanted to finish like I always do quickly. That's a great topic, man. Requiem for a Dream.
You're always trying to get out.
I always want to get out early. Get in late, get out early, right? It's like screenwriting. So you hit a perfect point that I can't believe I wasn't thinking about when we were talking about Requiem for a Dream. It's the drug addiction. It's not just the drug addiction like heroin, but it's the pill popping part of it. And that's huge.
Well, he nails on, we said it a little bit ago, I like that he works in all the addictions.
Yeah,
not all the addictions.
Oh, sure.
But he hits on enough majors where he's not just condemning the heroin users.
Right.
He's looking at media addiction, he's looking at healthcare system addiction, he's looking at sex addiction, he's looking at all these different things.
Right.
And it's all spun around this very central, and it's a very small story.
Oh, it is.
But he's able to tackle all these different things. Like he's able to. I like the way that he's able to encapsulate the entire healthcare system in that doctor's. In that, I think it's 2 doctor visits or 1.
2 doctor
visits.
Or
1. I think it's 2.
2.
Like he makes a big stamp on.
Oh man.
On what you receive as a somewhat older person on Medicare in the United States healthcare system.
Right.
And what was it, in 2000 that was made, or 2003?
2000, yes.
Okay, in 2000. Yeah,
Yep.
before film school. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's able to give you a very quick piece and taste of what that is, and you immediately like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And what's great is, okay, so Aronofsky, so obviously this kind of addiction, the pill popping generation has been around for a while, but he kind of got onto it before it really hit the mainstream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's interesting that he, in 2000, you think about, because before, you would hear, like late 80s or whatnot, you'd hear about how some movie star, like Chevy Chase, hurt their back and got addicted to painkillers.
Right.
Or some athlete was hooked on this, or NFL players were all hooked on such and such. And it was like, it was all reserved for people who could afford it.
Right.
It was only available to the like actors and the rich and whoever, and they were all hooked on all this crazy stuff. And then somebody in the system somewhere figured out, like, well, shit, we can market this to the masses.
Right.
They'll eat this stuff up just as much.
We
just got to make it like a little more affordable.
And here's the problem, man. It's a big fucking problem. Like, the pharmaceutical companies have such deep pockets. Their hands are in everyone else's pockets on Capitol Hill, that this shit's not going away no matter how horrible it is for you. It's not going anywhere. But yet, marijuana is Schedule 1.
But where do you even, because they've shown that marijuana is a whole different, is a tough nut, because legalizing marijuana touches the prison criminal justice system. Absolutely. And you start taking money out of that.
Okay, that's a good point.
There's money out of not only pharmaceuticals, but there's money out of the criminal justice system. That's the thing, is that it's not. And then there's money out of these government programs, like just say no to drugs, or whatever fake war they're waging in Latin America and all these other things. Like, all these funded programs, you start deregulating those because marijuana is now legal. They can't have it.
Yeah, no,
you got too many people.
It's too many.
You got too many people invited to these eyes wide shut parties.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They're like, whoever. I can't pick a name here. Oh, Mr. Pence. We just can't have that around our home now, can we? We just can't.
Right.
Oh, there'll be a Bentley at home, waiting for you when you get out, or whatever's going on.
Exactly, right.
Okay. Who knows what the fuck is happening? They're dressed as goats, and they're walking out through homes, and they're.
Oh, we're still talking about eyes wide shut parties, right? Okay.
That's what it is. I mean, that's what those things are. Like, there's some mountain somewhere, and it's like invitation only, and you get like an elevator and go up some hill, and there's armed guards, and then there's who the fuck knows who's there. Well,
it's like the old Playboy Club where you had to have the key, the Playboy key, in order to get in the club.
Yeah, right.
So you had to show your membership, not a card, but it was something else, like a finger.
Well, you could see one of those. You could see that there's one of these, like, I'm trying to think of what are some of the there's like the five richest families in the world. I can't think of one of their names right now, though. Well, anyway, like, the guy opens his wallet, and his
Murdoch.
Little, the Murdoch's, like, his little whatever pass falls out, and he's like, oh, no one to look at that.
Nothing to see here. Take care of him.
Nothing to see here.
But that's the thing, is there's so many.
That's how I purchase young children. You know all that crazy shit goes on. It's disgusting. It's terrible.
Oh, that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. But that's the thing, dude.
The janitor in their house, the maid's like sweeping up, and there's like a bloody Best Buy name tag. Oh, where'd that come from? Oh shit.
There's a movie there. It's the Eyes Wide Shut sequel, and it's like this. It's the scum of the elite from all walks of life, and what they get involved with, and the evilness.
Can you just picture those old codgers in the back of some big Bentley limousine, and they're watching, like, people come in and out of some, like, your average Joe's coming out of some liquor store or whatnot. One guy's drunk, and he's like, that one. I want that soft fat one.
Yeah, I want the soft fat one.
Lure him into the car. Chloroform him, and he wakes up, tied to some wooden bench in the middle of some field somewhere.
Oh, that's terrifying. But that's the nastiness of what the drugs can do to you too, man. Okay, can I tell you a couple stories real quick?
Tell me.
Now that we're talking about pill popping in this. Here's my first. I want to tell you this is a really crazy story. Not a crazy story, but this is just a interesting story. It showed me the first example of addiction in the pill aspect. So when I was in, I was in college. I went on a road trip with my neighbor. I was living in my folks' house. My neighbor had tickets to go see the Tennessee Titans. We live in Michigan. I had family in Tennessee. Let's go down. So I go down with him. The worst road trip of my life. When we do a podcast on road trip movies, I tell the story on this guy. But during this trip, he had a vial of Vicodin. God. This big, and if you can't see me, if you're not watching us, folks, it is probably 4 to 6 inches, right?
Jason's holding up his hands like he's got a jar of Hellmann's mayonnaise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he had this thing full of Vicodin. And so every time we went to the store, he would say, "Don't touch my Vicodin." Okay, man. Okay, that's fine. I don't need your Vicodin. That's not what I'm into. And so one day he came back. One time he came back in the car, and I said, "Hey, I have one of your Vicodin." What? And he flipped out on me, and I was like, "Dude, calm down. I'm only kidding. I knew it was going to get a rise out of you because you obviously love this shit. Calm down, man." This guy was probably 4 or 5 years older than me, and he was a dirtball, but I never knew that until riding around with him for 3 days. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You have probably 200 Vicodin that you can get at the ready because you have a doctor friend, and you can get this stuff at all time." I wonder what that guy's doing now, because once you start down that hole.
How do you get... I'm thinking more about the fact that like 3 hours into the trip, you were like, "Oh man, how do I get out of this?"
Oh, okay. So since we're going there, so we get into Ohio, right, or Indiana? It must have been Ohio. No, it was Indiana. We get into Indiana, and he gets pulled over. He's driving a BMW, right?
Okay.
He gets pulled over by the cops, and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me the cops were up there?" I'm like, "Dude, you're running up the hill. What the fuck?" He's like, "Gotta keep an eye out for cops." And then
everything is Jason's fault.
Right. I'm like, "Dude, really?" And so
you check the weather report?
Dude, he pulls over on top of roadkill. So the cop pulls over, and one cop comes to my side, and I'm like, roll the window down, because I'm just like, "Hey, hi."
You speeding? What was the offense?
Yeah, he was speeding.
Okay,
he was going fast, and he got pulled over. He stopped. The cops pull over on both sides of us. Cops come, and they're like, "What's that smell? Oh my God. What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's probably him, because I have a feeling he's going to be nasty." And he parked over roadkill. So he's like, the cop's like, "Dude, can you just pull forward a little bit? That's disgusting." So he pulls over. They gave him a ticket, had to pay it right there. And I'm like, "You know what? It's because you pulled over roadkill, dude." Worst road trip ever. But that showed me the addiction part of someone, how crazy they can get with that
How often
shit.
did he take them?
Oh, you know what? I wasn't really paying attention because I didn't know he had those in his possession until probably halfway through our first day there. So I wasn't paying attention to it. And then after I knew he had him there, I didn't think he'd be popping them all the time. So I wasn't really watching it.
So how long had you known this guy prior to the road trip?
Oh, he lived in our neighborhood for I probably knew him for about 5 years.
But didn't you think he was a little off before the road trip?
Oh, I knew he was a little bit of a loose cannon, just because he was a little older than me. He had a mustache, and he used to drink a lot and go party, and told me all the chicks he banged. And I was a high schooler; he wasn't anymore, so he was always trying to, and he was just kind of he wasn't very smart when it comes down to it, from what I experienced.
Once you brought high school in, it makes more sense.
Yeah, exactly. So wait, it must have been high school. No, I'm sorry, I was in college, so he was well out of college and well out of high school. He didn't go to college. Okay. He was just a guy. Anyway,
still, in that age, you're not as concerned with the guy's weirdo, so what?
Yeah, no, I didn't care too much. He was a neighbor.
You don't give a shit at that point.
We were family friends at that point, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, when he dropped me off, I got out of the car. See ya. Close the door. Walked in the house. Closed the door. Never saw him.
Of course, yeah.
What kind of guy? Okay.
Yeah.
So now let me tell you one more thing. This is popping in my head now because that was to go see a football game. Remember we were talking about sports earlier on the athlete, on the fan, right? Okay. So now I have another sports story. So I went to a Lions game and I got meningitis. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So I was living with my folks. I got meningitis. They prescribed the Vicodin generic version. It was like a Vicoprophene. So it's like a blend of Vicodin and ibuprofen. I took one of those. Oh my God, man. I couldn't close my eyes, otherwise I'd be spinning. I was like begging my dad for it to stop. Like I was in hell.
Right.
From one pill. I have a bad reaction to that shit.
Some people,
pill.
yeah, it affects everyone else differently.
Very differently.
Sure.
So then, years later, I was like, I'm never taking that shit again. I just don't like what pills do. I don't like that pharmaceutical aspect of it. So after Tina and I started dating, I went to we were at her place. We're going to see a football game, and we're going to Cecilia's to watch another football game. It's all about football apparently today. Football. I was carrying a bottle of water, and I bent down, picked something up, hurt my back. She gave me one of those same pills. I didn't realize which one it was. She's like, "This will help you," and I'm like, "All right, that'll probably help." I had
is Vicodin a prescription drug?
Vicodin. Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So was the Vicoprophene or the hydrocodone or whatever it's called.
Okay.
So she gave me one of those. I didn't know if it was generic or real, and I didn't really care. I was just like in pain, so I took it. I had one beer, and later that night, I'm talking 6, 7, 8 hours later, I went up to take a piss. Got up. Midstream, I blacked out. Fell against the tub, wrecked I was unconscious. She came in and woke me up, carried me to the bed somehow, and I was spinning and throwing up. One pill.
God's sakes.
Right. And the doctor, now this is the first time I saw, we were talking about Requiem for a Dream and the doctor.
And this is something that Tina would take on what, a semi-regular basis?
No, not at all. No, she just had them. She's had them for a while, and she just had them. She ended up giving them to somebody.
They're beyond their sell date.
Oh, probably, but that does that really matter? It's probably less effective, right? I mean, it's like Zip Fizz. I drank that shit for 3 years after it was expired.
or it's stronger. It probably got stronger with age.
Okay, could
just
be
sitting there fermenting.
But I don't think it was years later. It was like maybe it might have been expired, but I don't think it was that long. All right. So anyway, I mean, the doctor was grilling me about where I got this pill, and I was actually surprised. Plus, I didn't want to hear it because I was in kind of like bad shape. So I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. She had one from her prescription. She gave me one. Well, who is she? She's my girlfriend. Well, where'd she get it from? From her doctor. And then he kept asking me the same questions. I'm like, dude, stop. I don't do these. I don't like the pills. I did it out of necessity.
Yeah, because he's trying to discern if you're a pill addict.
Exactly. I'm like, dude, listen, I don't like the pills. I did it out of necessity because I was in pain. And I had one beer. He's like, oh, that was it. I'm like, really? One beer? And then 12 hours later, I have an episode? So it really showed me, from that point on, it really showed me how dangerous pharmaceutical drugs are. What it does to your body.
Yeah, totally.
And then I got two different ways of looking at, like, a doctor who gives a guy willy-nilly prescriptions just because he's his friend, and the other guy who's grilling me because he wants to make sure I'm not some kind of addict. So it was interesting to see both parallels there.
Yeah, they're trying to, like, when you come into the hospital in that kind of condition, anybody, the first thing, like, you're immediately guilty of drug addiction.
Just like
and every step taken is proving you're not.
Right.
Like they ask you where do you get it, how often you take it.
Right.
Is this your first episode? When's the last time this happened? All those things.
That's
because
too,
they look at you like, well, this guy's just having it. He's just ODing.
Exactly.
He probably does this every fucking night. Oh. And then you're proving your innocence.
Right. Isn't that suck?
It's like anything else. It's like anything else. So, and that's one of the numerous fallacies of the American drug care system. And two, what it seems like they never consider is, again, I'm ignorant on American pharmaceuticals because I haven't needed a prescription in 12 years. I don't know.
Right.
And but I smoke marijuana and you smoke the exact same amount of marijuana. Our reactions are different.
Oh yeah. I
drink 4 beers. You drink 4. Reactions totally different. Everybody's chemical makeup is different.
Absolutely.
So if you go to the doctor and say my shoulder hurts, and I go and I say my shoulder hurts, we both get the same drug, your reaction is different than mine.
That's a good
point.
And
they never consider that. They never consider that. It's like, well, you got this pain here, you take this. They take into consideration a little bit of man and woman, weight. That's about it.
Do they really though, Craig? I don't think they do.
They probably don't.
Because they're the same person.
I'm probably trying to give them some credit.
I think you are. Okay, here's an interesting example. Tina just went in for, she had like a muscle issue on her, like near her back. She was going to look at and see what it was and if it was attached to her spine or, it was like a muscular issue.
Right.
So she's like, I'm using, she's like, well, I'm going to give you a prescription for muscle relaxation. She's like, no, I don't need that. I have kids. Right. I work. It's not that kind of pain.
He vegs out on the couch.
Seriously, right? No, she would take that opportunity to veg out. Trust me, right? But she wasn't in that kind of pain. But they're prescribing muscle relaxers
because it's a quick fix,
right? And I'm like, that's. And Tina's like, that is super irresponsible. She goes, I'm using this CBD, which is we have a roll-on, which is CBD, which is the non-THC from marijuana. Yeah. It's a roll-on, so I use it for like my neck and back and shoulder. And she's like, I'm using that. She goes, you put that on your body? And she's like, yeah, I would do that any day of the week as opposed to taking a muscle relaxer you prescribed me for a pain that I'm not in. What's wrong with you?
Right. Exactly.
And it's a fallacy amongst the whole industry, man, and it's sickening.
Well, as soon as you involve, this is such a massive conversation. We'll have to narrow this down into something else. But as soon as you involve profits, which have gotten slim because of the insurance companies, and then on top of that, attorneys. Everybody's suing everybody for everything these days.
Sure.
Then now everyone is walking on eggshells. So risk in medicine has gone down, and then what you can and can't afford, obviously. But the easy, we'll just if you prescribe the drug and you've got a negative reaction to it, there's probably less area to lay blame.
Okay.
Like, oh, I took this drug and I had a bad reaction. Oh, it's not my fault. That's what the drug is for. Person had a bad reaction, didn't tell me they were allergic to whatever. And no, it's the pill maker's company's problem or whatever it is. It's just like there's all these weird, and that's why things have to be approved by the FDA and whatever other organization there is. And again, I'm ignorant to a lot of these things. But that's the thing, is that there's all this push blame off, and these slimming profit margins for the way the healthcare system is set up. And so people come in. You've got, 50 minutes with the doctor? 30 minutes, tops?
Oh, God.
You might have a serious problem. You might have a serious issue. And it's like, well, okay, it's almost like they've got one of those little, tic-tac grids, constant pain or intermittent pain. Okay, that's square 2. Okay, lower back or upper back. Okay, that's square 3. And then, let's see, your age. All right, this one. Okay, well, that means you get 10 of these pills for the week. All right, and then you write the prescription and you're out the door.
That's awesome.
Make sure they have your insurance card number up front. That's all they care about.
Right.
You have insurance or have insurance? All right, well, you can get pills, but you still pay for the pills, right?
Well, you're paying your copay on the pills. You're paying usually depending on what kind of copay you have for the pills. But then there's another side of this that I just want to touch on quickly because I don't know how far we want to get into this part of it. But that Martin Shkreli, the douchebag
talking this shit out.
I know, right? The douchebag who bought was it an AIDS medicine? An AIDS medicine, or what was it? Some very important cancer medicine. I don't think it's cancer. I think it was for people with AIDS or.
I want to say that was. I think that was AIDS.
I think it was AIDS too. So this motherfucker, buys up all the stock or something, and then just starts charging up the ass for it. It's like.
Yeah, it was AIDS. Yeah.
It's so backwards. And now, thankfully, he's going to jail.
The fact that he was even allowed to do that.
True.
It shows just if this existed, why wasn't this already in testing and in circulation? And because they would have had hey, if you have autoimmune deficiency disorder, you can come to this 30-day free trial. Those things. Of course.
No, they're not doing that.
Unless you go to Mexico.
No, they want to keep people in the system, right? We talked about the jails,
keep you alive.
The prison system. Alive. Same thing, man. We got to keep you alive. We got to keep it pumping through. We got to keep it coming in, get more doctor visits and more prescriptions. And so then, because then you take a pill, you have a reaction like you're talking about. There's another pill for that. And then you take a furthest over here, and if we have a reaction for that one, you take that. You ever see the commercials for prescriptions or for drugs that they have, like these clinical ones, and they have a laundry list of side effects like death. That
rolls up the screen real quick. Yeah, rolls up the screen real quick. There's this guy who's in his 50s and he's running through a field and he's all happy and his wife meets him, and then all on the side of the screen
may cause death.
Yeah, may cause death.
May cause bloody bowels.
It's like diarrhea, vomiting, headache. Who wants those things?
Right. And that's the small stuff. kidney stones. This might cause, permanent facial deconstruction. It could be some fucking crazy
shit. And
shit.
there's never any consideration towards, like, some of these things dehydrate you massively.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never this person's grossly overweight. They probably don't drink a lot of water. They've got a horrible diet.
Right.
Take these pills. Then the person experiences extreme constipation,
right,
or whatever. Doesn't know what to do about it. And
then they have bloody bowels.
And gets less and less healthy. And then a year later, they're in a severe condition that is going to require thousands and thousands of dollars of medical care that could have been totally avoided probably with a healthy diet. Like all these, like education, healthcare, the way doctors deal with patients now. I mean, it's just, you've just created, every person's got when you're born, like they might as well tattoo a dollar symbol on your neck. Because that's all anyone is anymore. Is as soon as you're born, you enter into the system, and you got a couple different directions you can go, but one thing's true. You're going to have to pay here, pay, or pay.
You're always paying.
You're always paying.
You're in the machine, man. You are in the system, the machine. You're in it, and there's no escaping it. There is. You can be off the grid.
I mean, you can get close, but it costs you a little bit nowadays. Like I turned off my American cell phone.
Okay.
And now I'm like, there's a bunch of, I won't get into it, but there's some things that it's causing me some grief.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, just stupid little things. I figured I'd get by on my Skype number. I'd be fine. And
okay.
You'd be surprised at how many things you can't get access to now unless, like, there's security systems and all these websites now. You need to have a cell phone to send the security code to get the security code text on your cell phone and put it back into the website. Like, they're all in cahoots now. All of them. Like, Mr. Miller's an extra level of security. Like, no, it isn't. It's bullshit. Like,
interesting.
Okay. My fucking email. Oh, no, email's been proven that it's not. Like, oh, well, it's not secure. This isn't secure. This isn't secure. So there's been a couple different occasions where I've needed to get a security code, and they're like, well, we'll send it to your cell phone. Well, you can't do that. I don't have a cell phone here. Send it to my Costa Rican cell phone. Well, we can't do that. Why not? A cell phone. Why not? And you get in this stupid back and forth, and you're on the phone just like, fuck. Oh, you guys are me crazy. You know?
So you don't have a cell phone at all now?
I have my Costa Rican cell phone.
Oh, okay, so you have you're able. That's why you're still with. I was like, how are you? What's happened?
I don't even know. I should say how I keep that thing operational on the air. It might come after me. He's not paying for that.
But I mean, that's the thing is, how do you? Today's day, man, technology is everything, right? If you're not plugged in, you're a hermit.
Well, they're, and when I say they, as in the big stratosphere of whoever's out there, omnipresent government forces or whatever, is
you mean the ones listening right now?
Yeah, exactly, monitoring. He said the word, put him on the list. But the whole this makes your life more convenient. This makes your life more convenient. All that shit is a fucking trap to regulate you.
Yep.
Like that company in Wisconsin that like microchipped their employees. And the employees were like, okay, no problem. Like, what? Do I get a free lunch out of this? Or, okay, sign me up. Like, no, it's not right. It's not right.
Nope.
You know?
No, okay, but here's a scary idea. When's that going to become the norm?
When is that? When enough people do it.
And I mean, when? Is that going to happen soon?
And that's when you start moving towards, well, no, you don't need to carry cash. We just scan your thumb. And then as soon as that happens, they can just turn you off. I put my thumb on the thing. I can't pay for it. Oh, they turned off Jimmy.
You're done now.
You're fucked now. You're out of the system. What are you going to do?
Did you see the movie In Time? Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, I don't remember it as well, but yeah, they had the scan on their forearm.
Yeah, that was their amount of money, right?
Yeah,
and as that drained, they died.
Yeah,
so
right.
Was it based upon time? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't money. It was based upon, it's called In Time, duh. So it was a time. So you bought more time, and as your timer went down, you died. And that's kind of the same thing, man.
I just wish people would think about the long-term effects of all this stuff. Like the iPhone 8's coming out, and it's got the facial recognition. Why? Why is that a cool thing?
I'm not understanding why what that's even for. Why do they have that?
Well, they sell it as a security measure. Like no one can get in your phone unless it scans your face, and then only you can get into your phone. Why is it such a big deal who gets into your phone or not? What's the big deal?
Well, credit card information, notes, email accounts.
Exactly, because again, all this. Oh, just scan your phone at the store. Oh, just do this. Well, in order to protect you, now we need to scan your face because you got all that information on your phone now. So it's all this lead-in. Like every time you take a step towards not owning responsibility on certain actions and putting it in the hands of technology, you give up a little bit more until pretty soon you got nothing left.
Shit. Okay, so they already got my fingerprints. Not just from working in security back in the day where I had to get my fingerprints done, but they got my fingerprints on my phone. You got to open your phone with your fingerprint, right? So that's all. That they can get that whenever they want. They can use that to their advantage somewhere.
Well, it was like I signed up. And Delta has this thing called Clear. It's supposed to get you through security faster.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And they gave me, because I'd hit a certain tier, I got it for free. Like, oh, okay, well, sure. So go to the airport, and it runs along the side of the regular security line. And you got to walk. And I think so the first time I do it, I'm like, okay, you got to put your 4 fingers down and your thumb on this hand, 4 fingers, and scan all this, and scan that, and my photograph. And I'm just like, it's kind of a pain in the ass,
Whoa.
But if it gets me through faster, but at first I'm like, I wasn't really thinking about it. So then when I used it again, I had to repeat the whole process, and I'm like, this isn't faster. You guys are just tracking me. So I don't use it anymore.
Oh, man.
And I got this email. They're like, how come you canceled your Clear account? Like, because it was bullshit. You guys are just tracking where the fuck I am.
So it's really funny. Okay, so in today's day, right, it's everywhere, technology and all these little things we're talking about. Back in 2001, we knew a guy by the name of Brandon.
Yes.
Remember Brandon?
We did.
Of course you remember Brandon. No one can forget Brandon.
You can't forget. He's a character, man.
He's a character. He's a one-of-a-kind guy. He was so terrified. This is 2001.
Yeah,
16 years ago. He was terrified of technology. Email.
Right.
He would not have an email account. He wouldn't communicate through email. Cell phones were barely even used. No, cell phones were not used. Right. And I emailed him before we were getting married. So probably 9 years ago, I emailed him from California. Hey, I have some great news I want to share with you. Can you give me a call? I don't know if you have the same number, but here's my number. Give me a call when you get a chance. He called me and was like, so is this Jason? I'm like, yeah, man, what's going on, Brady? He's like, oh, I just wanted to make sure it was you, man, because, I didn't know it was you emailing me there. I thought it was someone scamming me. I'm like, wow. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Wow, okay. Wow, you don't get out much, do you?
Well, I mean, I'll give him like 40% on that, because when I get weird emails that I haven't heard from someone in a long time, I do the same thing.
Okay, but I gave him my number.
I don't know.
I didn't ask for his number. I said, hey, here's my number.
Yeah, you didn't ask for anything.
And it's the same number I had.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's the same number I fucking had. I've had the same number forever, so it's like, hey.
Yeah, but he was kind of like you said, he's kind of a different cat.
But he could not trust technology.
Because I told you when I ran into him, right?
Yeah, it was at
my first or second year in Iraq.
In the mall.
And I stopped at the mall, the 12 Oaks Mall, to get a temporary phone while I was in town.
Right.
And he's like, Craig Miller. And he was walking out of this hair salon thing.
That's funny.
And I was telling him, I was like, what, you just got a haircut? He's like, huh? Like, did you just get a haircut? Oh, no, man, I work there. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, he was a hairdresser, and he that was his gig. He worked at a couple good places at one point, but he was working at the mall at that point. But he was a weird cat, man.
Everything.
Yeah, sure. And he, I don't think he did any more film after I stopped talking to him. I think he was pretty much done at that point. But yeah, it's too bad. But he was kind of cool. I had a lot of fun hanging out with him. But
I liked him though. I mean, he was a nice guy. It was pretty cool.
It was interesting. We had a lot of fun. But anyway, I thought it was funny because it tied into the whole not trusting technology. And he was like,
Well, now he must be terrified.
I know, right? Like he just doesn't.
I mean, Jesus.
He still has a landline. Doesn't have a cell phone.
I mean, you can get by that way. It get a little difficult for you depending on what you're doing, but you can get by.
Yeah, sure.
You've got to really, if you, I would say more like this. It's probably easier for people who never went down that road because they've never had to adjust. They never adjusted.
True.
They've just
okay,
adjusted
so
along.
nowadays,
but if you were to pull back,
mm-hmm.
you're like, oh,
different story.
Like this, that,
right?
Do without this, change that. You know.
Well, it's funny if you think about how we used to deal, man. I know people from all generations have to deal with this when it comes to new technology and new advancements. But back when we were in school, you know, you had one phone in the house, maybe two, but it was one line, and you know, you had to wait for someone to be home to call them, and hopefully they answer. You keep calling, you keep calling, you keep calling.
See, now people live their life around how much battery charge they have.
Right.
Oh, I can't leave the house. I've only got 35%.
Right, or I gotta take my charger with me. I gotta take my charger with me, and if it's dead, I can't get a hold of anybody, and I freak out. So it's just weird.
Did you read that? I have no idea if this is true, but probably to me it sounds like it's true. Is that when Apple launches a new phone, that they put out something through the software network to slow down the older phones?
Nah, yeah, I did hear that.
Have you heard that? Have you heard of that? I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but it would make from a commerce perspective, it would make sense.
Especially when they have an update available at that point. You don't update it. When the new phone comes out, you don't update your old phone.
Right.
Because that's when you're fucked. And I think I remember experiencing something like that where my phone started like acting up on me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Out of nowhere. What is this shit? Right? Yeah. Hey, back to Requiem for a Dream and drugs, man. And then these pills. We got way left.
Big topic, man. That's all related.
It is all related in one way, shape, or form. So I'm, you know, after talking about Mother and other movies, Requiem for a Dream just hits on so many notes. But the whole, like we talked about the doctor, and I want to touch on those two doctor scenes because you talked about taking advantage of the elderly in that regard, right? So doctor comes in, doesn't even look at her, looks at her form. So you're trying to lose some weight? Yeah, okay, I'll get you something for that. All right, I'll have the prescription up there front, and he walks out.
Yes.
It's two scenes, and one of them is just point blank. They don't care. Second scene.
Right.
She's freaking out, and if he ever even looked up at her, he would see this.
Right.
And she is in bad shape, right? And he says, well, have you had some problems? Like, yeah, it's not working anymore, and I don't know, something's wrong. Right? And she's freaking out.
Yeah, when she hears refrigerator.
Yeah, right? And then he just is like, oh, no problem, just take this. And it's just
doesn't he increase the dosage?
I think so. I just watched it. I know he says something in there.
Or he adds a third element in there. He changes something.
Yeah, like,
and that's
don't worry about
it. That's when she starts. But did she start mixing them? Remember, she started mixing them.
And when she was getting desperate, she was just taking them all.
Yeah, they weren't working as well.
She was,
and that's part of that high. Right. Before she was like high and had a lot of energy and cleaning the house and running around. She's like, I don't get that charge anymore.
And then she takes two.
I'll start taking two.
And then she gets really loopy. And then it just goes downward spiral, man. The movie it could be called Downward Spiral and had the same effect because it's scary, man. And it isn't like some far-fetched fantasy.
No. The way they pray, the way the system preys on not just that. I mean, I guess you consider her elderly at that point. She's Social Security age and whatnot, and make her seem like she's older.
Yes.
So, and she's alone. And there's no one to really care for her
because her son's an idiot.
How many people in these elderly old folks' homes are medicated to the point where they just sit there and drool all day fucking long? Like, what kind of deal do these chain health old folks' homes have with the pharmaceutical companies? Oh, we got to buy 1,000 of these this month and 1,000 of these. When the good-looking young girl, everything all pushed up on high heels, comes in with I got a new drug this week. This is 10 times stronger than the other one. Oh, we'll take 10,000 of those.
No, you're right. It's a big racket. I remember back in my Vitamix days, I was working in front of a lot of people, and I used to get a lot of job offers, or at least people coming up to me asking me to, hey, you should do this, and okay. I got a lot of pharmaceutical sales opportunities that came my way.
Yeah, so did I. When I was working at
I thought about it for just like a microsecond. Because I was like, oh, yeah, you can make some really good money out here. Yeah, Josh says I can do this. And then I was thought about it, I'm like, oh, fuck no. I am not going to be that person who's peddling this shit.
You just can't.
I can't. I'm not going to sleep with myself that way. Or I can't sleep with myself.
I was offered a few jobs in that realm, and the money was very attractive. And then a friend of mine who was also in sales at AT&T took one of the jobs. Real attractive girl. She's around younger 30s. And then she called me. She's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. You want to have lunch?" We had lunch somewhere. She came in all done up, everything all pushed up and together and this and that. She's like, "That's just the way it's got to be." And I was like, "So how do you like it?" She's like, "I hate it. I can't do it anymore." I think she'd been doing it like a month or two.
Oh my god.
She's like, I can't do it anymore. You just go in and push. You're just a drug pusher.
Yep.
Just in there trying to schmooze. And she said all the. Granted, okay, it's just her side of the story. Not condemning anybody. She's like, I hate it because half these doctors are lecherous creeps, and asking me out, asking me to go to dinner, asking me to lunch, hand on the shoulder. She's like, I hate it. I just want to get out of it. I can't stand it. And she's like, plus, I don't know what I'm selling people.
Yeah, how was she supposed to know?
She doesn't know what this stuff is.
No, she didn't go to school for that or anything like that. She didn't learn about that. She's just peddling it.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is that I remember when I was like inching towards like, okay, it's a possibility because the money is very attractive. Mm-hmm. Like, what do I need to pick a class? I'm like, a class in what? You know how to sell? Like, that's like red flag number one.
Yeah, and that's all it is, man. It's a peddling mentality of pushing these drugs into our system. And you mentioned how you it's so hard to legalize marijuana completely because of all the other things involved with it. And same thing with this. You can't get rid of it now. But I did hear, I don't know if it's Michigan-based or nationally or what it was, but they were going to start prescribing minimum amounts of like certain drugs like Vicodin and Oxycontin. Like instead of getting 30 for like a month's supply, you get enough for 2 weeks or a week, and you have to come back again. But ha! That sounds like a great idea, right? We're going to limit how much you're going to get, so it's going to limit, because then you have to keep coming back. Well, that just keeps you coming back and feeding the system even more.
Well, I'm glad you said it because I was like, that's not helping anybody.
I know, right? Because they're still going to keep coming back.
It's probably more expensive.
Now, it will help those. Okay, you know what? God, there's a lot of stories I have when it comes to these kind of drugs. My buddy Mike had a surgery, and they gave him Vicodin. So he came one day and came home and took the Vicodin. And all of a sudden, he felt like Superman.
Okay.
So, and it was a vasectomy. So he was not supposed to be moving around, right?
Right.
And he's helping his neighbor carry wood and doing all these things.
Just out. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he just didn't feel like anything. He was like, I can do everything right now.
Yeah, right.
And then he was in so much pain. Once it wore off and it started, like he said, they were like this big. They were so, he said it was the worst pain he has ever been in. And again, because it makes you almost unstoppable. It makes you feel nothing.
Well, so much of what they're saying, what they say now, is so much of it is equivalent to an opiate. Yeah. So essentially, X amount % of the population is addicted to opiates because they're stuck on all these prescription drugs.
Right. And they know that's a quick way to heroin too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very quick way to heroin because I don't know if you know that
pharmaceuticals are a gateway to more powerful stuff.
Absolutely, the more powerful stuff. Now, you know that Birmingham or Bloomfield Hills over here in Michigan have a really big heroin problem right now.
Do they really?
Yeah. It's a from what I've heard. I haven't looked into much of it because I'm in Troy, but
wasn't it like that before? They just kind of pushed it down, and now it's recognizable because of the money. Maybe. Because you got rich kids who can afford cocaine,
right?
And as soon as cocaine's not enough anymore, you start pushing up on heroin.
Right. Now, of course, if it's in the inner cities, they just call it what it is. But then once the rich kids get it, and they start, now all of a sudden now it's an epidemic.
Now it's a problem.
Now it's an epidemic, right? I mean, it's
there's 20 addicts in a burned out house down in Detroit that no one's giving a shit about.
Right.
But 5 kids on the football team on the Birmingham high school football team are doing it. Well, we got to do something about this.
Exactly. How dare they get into the white kids?
Can't destroy their future.
Oh, there's a whole other topic of conversation. Dude.
It's such a bunch of crap. It's such a bunch of bullshit. It is like it's just like sometimes if you think about it too hard, it just makes you angry.
Exactly, and that's what we were talking about Facebook a couple of days ago about it just lets you say what you want to say without repercussions. Sometimes it can be faceless, voiceless, whatever. And that's the same kind of thing.
Misdirected outrage without consequence.
Absolutely, but it allows you to do that, and
I'm so angry about this.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to say. Is, I keep seeing these things on Facebook, and it just makes me so angry in so many ways. And I want to type. I'm going to say this. No, I'm not.
What I don't understand is like, why have we gotten to a place where everyone is so like angry's become like a pastime.
Yeah.
Outrage is now a pastime.
Right.
So you're supplementing yourself with pharmaceutical drugs, laying around at home on social media, mad at the world for nothing, getting fueled by a biased media system. I mean, where does it end? Like it's like we saw this coming 20 years ago. Now it's like come to fruition, and it's like, well, how do you get out of it?
Exactly. Unplug. It's one way too.
I honestly think from what my involvement is, which is minimal, I do honestly think that this thing's about to hit a bubble.
Ooh.
I think there's an oversaturation point with the media and how biased the media is and where social media is and how people get involved and uninvolved in these minor problems that they get spun out of proportion.
Right.
I think it's coming up on a tipping point. People are going to be like, all right, enough's enough. Can't do it anymore. I think we're close.
You mean like social media wise, a step away from it?
Like people stop buying into the whole idea that whatever's presented on social media is the new national problem.
Right. Okay.
And I think we're at a point where people are going to start backing off.
God, I hope you're right.
I'm not saying in a month.
I'd say
in like a year. I'd say like in a year. I think in a year, maybe a year and a half, people are going to start.
I just think there are too many stupid people who believe what they see. It doesn't matter if the regular consciousness sees it or not and understands it. They just still going to believe what they see because they have no other thought. What's given to them?
And I said this to her earlier, a couple days ago, or what it was. I think a lot of this is derived from because we've gone to great lengths as a country, United States I'm talking about, to remove a lot of those core – no, not Costa Rica. Costa Rica's got its own problems. But remove a lot of these core identities because we're such a giant melting pot. Is you have scores of people who don't feel like they're a part of anything anymore and they don't belong to anything anymore. And there's a lot of misdirected identity. I mean, and the media's constantly telling them like, oh, you can pick your gender, you can pick this. Christians are bad, Muslims are good. Everybody can speak their own language. Like, there's no core identity anymore. And I think people don't know where to put their energy.
Yeah.
And so they're constantly looking for this next cause and something okay, I'm a part of this cause now. I'm a part of this group now. Or I'm a part of this, or I think this, like this group of people thinks this now. Like who joins a group? I mean, I don't wake up in the morning like, I want to join a group. Like you gotta be like sitting on your couch with your laptop on your chest with like, Hershey wrappers laying around you. Like, I'm gonna join this group now. I got nothing else going on today. I had pancakes and I'm not showering.
But it's not really. That doesn't. I totally get it. I don't think everyone's really joining your group though. They just might like a certain page, like conservative views or liberal news, and and they just get fed that information on whatever side they're on.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
I think you're absolutely right though. People want to be a part of a tribe again.
Totally.
Right? Deep down, I mean, subconsciously, we're all tribal.
Completely believe that. I think I've mentioned it before. Is that our sense of community and tribe has been lost. Especially in the phones and electronics and gateway of the world hasn't helped any of that.
Right.
And people don't know how to get back to that. Communities of 30, 40 people. Because before, way back when things were pretty cool, you had communities.
Yeah.
And you had 30, 40 people. And you survived within the group. And the group sustained itself. And if somebody fucked up in the group, like if somebody stole, inside the group there was mass shaming and you didn't do it again or you ejected that person.
Right.
Now there's a lot less consequence for action because there's no communities anymore.
Right.
You find communities in like nice like Sebastian Junger's got a great book called Tribe. Actually, it's a great book. And he lives in even though he's a very well-known author, he lives in his wife, I think his wife is Filipino, but he lives in an old apartment building in New York. And he likes that sense of community because it's all different ethnic groups and there's a lot of Filipinos there.
Yeah.
And he likes that sense of community. Huh. Like people who live in cul-de-sacs, like you got a sense of community and know your neighbors and people look out for each other and care for one another and talk to one another and you get a sense of community. And because that's gone away to such a huge extent, especially in this drive to have like affluent areas and gates and bigger, get away from people and this and that. Did you know that I won't say the highest because I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but the suicide and depression rates are highest in the more affluent areas?
Interesting.
Because they've gotten to a point where they've separated this house from everybody and they don't have any community anymore. Like you thrive on human interaction. Like humans aren't by design designed to be isolated individuals. We talk and communicate and have all these different skills and communication abilities. We're not designed to block ourselves out from the world and sit alone.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I don't believe that at all. We definitely don't want it. We shouldn't be isolated. But it's funny because you talk about the cul-de-sac. I used to live on a court, so I totally understand that aspect. My dad knew everybody, everyone knew us, and it was all that thing.
Yeah.
Now, I have my shrinking, very tight friend network. It's shrinking all the time. I want the people in my circle who are the people who are the best for me, right? If they don't do anything for me and I can do anything from them, I don't need them.
If it's not a benefit, right?
Exactly. And then my family, right? Obviously, front and center. And that's all. I don't really want to know what my neighbors are doing. I really don't care about meeting my neighbors. There's neighbors, I've been here now for 4 years. Sadly, from where I grew up compared to now, I don't even know the people 3 doors down or what their names are. We wave at each other and smile and wave.
Is that because you're not interested or because you don't like them as people?
No, it's because I'm not interested.
Why do you think you're not interested?
Because I don't care. I like my kind of like tight. Maybe because I grew up in a place where everything was, everyone knew everybody. That I didn't like that because everyone knew my business. So I had people watching me, people telling my folks when I did something when they were gone. I didn't like that. So I've kind of like grown up to the point where I'm like, okay, I want my circle of friends, my family, and that's what I focus on. My surrounding neighbors, okay, a neighbor across the street, Jim and Donna, yes, I know them because we talk and they're right across from us. But the other neighbor on one side, other neighbor on the other side, I know their name, we don't talk very much. It's just, I don't know, Tina's the other way. Tina wants more of a thing, and I just...
Community
I'm just not interested. I want to focus on my family, my friends, and myself, and not that I'm isolated in any way. I talk to a lot of people, and I work for a living talking to people, but at the same time, I don't care.
So do you not have so you don't have the need for you and your family to be surrounded by positive energy and people and know that you have a support group with you and people who are looking out for you and you look out for them and that give and take, that's part of the whole human experience. And where I live, and I've never really articulated this until this year in my own head, is one of the things I like about living here is I live in a community.
Okay.
And everyone knows me. I know everybody that lives here. Not everyone. You get to a certain point down the street, I don't know those people as well. But right here around, even though I don't have like neighbors, we're all close enough to where they know me, they know my dogs, I know them. They need something, they walk by the gate. Craig, could you? Yeah, sure, okay, I'll do that. Walk over there, help them out. They look out for even though I don't ask them to when I'm not around, they look out for my house. I have no doubts that if I was gone and there was something going on here in the house that they would call the police or come over and investigate what was going on. And I employ a lot of people that live in pretty close proximity, like there's a Nicaraguan family, 10 kids.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
So obviously he needs the money, so he's my landscaper, and if I need something like something major done, like he comes and I give them like I've got lemon trees and I've got agavacate, not avocados, agacotes, which is like a little weird fruit thing, and they eat those.
Okay.
And they'll come over and I'm like, yeah, just go to the tree and pick them off, you know.
Well,
and they do that, and so you get this really nice sense of people that know one another and they know me, and I feel like I'm part of a community.
That's cool. I mean, I totally dig it, and I know that's what Tina likes, and I don't know, maybe it's because, like I said, where I came from, or I just don't care. I don't know, but it's part of your not care. You keep saying I don't care means you're disinterested. I'm disinterested in knowing what's going on. I'm focusing on this house. Now, it doesn't mean I'm blind. I'm watching out, so if I see something going on, I'm gonna look out, right? I'm gonna be a neighborly neighbor. I don't need to know everybody the way some people do, and I don't know. It's just an interesting or a different mindset, and that's also because, like, you know, when I go to the bar or I go out, I'm a talkative guy when you get me in my element about what I want to talk about, but when I go out, I can be antisocial. It's also that part. Like, I don't have to talk to people. Like, I don't want to have to talk to people. I talk a lot for a living, and I don't really care about going to a place and meeting new people at a bar with somebody who, you know, I'm going with Tina and we're meeting new people. I'm like,
I guess because I've known you for so long. Like, I understand that about you because I'm different in the way that I like people and I like getting out and meeting people. But then again, I ride that line between extrovert and introvert very hard. And so after 4 to 5 days of intense social activity, I have to regroup. I pull it back in. Yeah. I pull it back in. It's a mental thing. I pull it back in and I take time for myself, and I've got the dogs, and I chill out by myself for a day or two, and then I'm fine. Okay. And I'm fine. But I do need that time.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, when I started dating Tina, she went out one night with friends and she wanted me to go, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna stay in tonight because I'm gonna have some J time. I'm gonna watch a movie. I haven't had any time up to myself, and I wanted to, you know, because I would go out with her all the time and we'd be with a lot of people and all that, and I was like, I need some time alone. Right. She thought, she kept calling me that night. She kept talking with her friends about it, and she was certain I was with another girl. She was certain as all get out. She kept calling me, and I wouldn't answer the phone because I was getting annoyed. I was like, lady, I told you I'm spending time alone. Can you please stop calling me?
Well, Tina's, you know, the drawback of Tina is she's a woman.
Sure.
And every woman, except for the very minor few on the planet, all have the exact same problem. Everything's about them. Everything's about them. So even though you're like, well, I want to go, like, I'm having a bad day because of work. Oh, I didn't mean to come home late. I'm having a bad day because of work. Nothing to do with you.
Right.
Like last weekend, I'd seen a girl on a regular basis every weekend since like July, which is like a minor record for me. And last weekend, I was like, I really want to get some writing done. I haven't hung out with my friends around here too much. And I told her. She was cool with it, but she was kind of like, is everything okay? I was like, not about you.
Yes.
Not about you.
Yes.
Not about you.
Right.
I need some time. And women don't. It's just like, you know, it's hard to sit down and watch I'm not a big sports guy, but how many men have a hard time watching football games? The girl's like, what's going on? Or can I vacuum? Or do this? They can't handle it. They can't handle it. It's not about them. Unless it's at them or they think it's about them or anything else that's going on. Like, I think that's one of the core problems in all my relationships is I need some time, downtime.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
No, J time is important for me too. It used to be. I don't have J time anymore, but this is J time.
Ladies and gentlemen, men out there, if you can find a girl who understands it's not all about her, marry her.
Yeah, there you go. I dated a girl before Tina, very, very briefly, and I was writing, and I remember one night I said, you know what, I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna do anything tonight. I'm just gonna stay home and try to write, and I stayed home, and I tried to write. Nothing came out, but I was thinking, you know, and I was sitting in front of the computer screen and doing mental work on it. And she's like, so how'd it go last night? And I said, I didn't get a lot done. She goes, but I thought you said you need to stay home and write. And I said, it's exactly what I did. I just didn't get anything on paper, but it was important work to do. It's part of the process. And she didn't get it.
Yes.
And she was upset that I didn't get any work done. You know, but not understanding that the process sometimes is just sitting there and beating your head against the wall.
You mean I had to be alone and you didn't do anything? Like,
right,
that's not right.
Man. So
it's not right. Like, I remember I dated this girl a long time ago. I was working at AT&T, and I came home on a Friday. And we didn't like have plans. It was kind of like one of those we always went out because we were dating. Mm-hmm. We didn't have exact plans. I came home, and I think I'd had some pasta late in the day or something. Anyway, I fell asleep, like crashed fucking hard. Woke up at like 8, 8:30 at night. Mm-hmm. 20 phone messages. Called her. I'm sorry. God, I fell asleep. That's BS. Where were you? What are you doing? Who are you with? I fell asleep. That's a lot of crap. Like, I was asleep. Like, don't you ever just get tired and fall asleep?
Yeah, but then blame it on you on cheating.
Of
right.
course you don't, because you're a girl and you're
just
misdirected crazy energy.
Just like Tina kept texting me that night. I'm like, I'm home, and please stop texting me. I'm not answering my phone. Stay out with your friends. And he's with another girl, and I'm like, dude, seriously, you're. It was like one of those moments where I was like, ooh.
Yeah, right.
Was this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to get roped into this.
So I had to explain to her, listen, this is important for me. My alone time is, I'm an only child. It's extremely important to me to have my downtime, have my alone time with Jay, playing video games, watching TV, smoking weed. I don't care what I'm doing. Just leave me alone.
I have led with that as a precursor with women who I'm semi-serious with of late. And I say, look, I've been alone the majority of my adult life. Mm-hmm. I am totally self-sufficient. I do everything for myself. If you do something for me, it's great. But there's going to be times when I just want to pull back, and maybe I want to go to a restaurant by myself, or go see a movie that I know you don't want to see, or I want to hang out with my dogs, whatever it is.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I'm going to need that time. The only woman I've ever dated who actually fully grasped that was Dawn. Remember Dawn?
Yes, I do.
Dawn was like, that's fine. She'd just leave the house. Didn't care.
That's the thing. Tina gets it. But they have to understand it. Tina understands it, because I explained it to her after that particular evening. I was like, I was home alone, but this is important. You got to understand it. Okay, I get it. And then she understood it. So whenever I said I need some downtime, or it's, hey, I'm going to stay home and do this tonight, she got it. But hey, it's hard to whatever, man. But to bring this back around, I don't know. I don't want to expand my circle. Uh-huh. I'm okay. I'll know the people who I need to know. Neighbors across the street, they help us out. We help them out. Kid down this. Now that we have kids that are a lot more active outside, I have to start knowing everybody. Because I have to be very very visual on what's going on out there, and making sure I know the cars and the people, so what's going on, right? So
are you interested in your kids having a lot of friends?
Oh, absolutely. So and they have friends already. 3 of them down the street, right? Okay. 2 Indian families, and then an older boy who's actually not his friend. He's just an older boy that he made friends with, and gave him his phone number and everything. It was really cute. So he's out there doing his thing, and they're being active, and that's going to make us obviously talk to, and be friends with these families. And we are, to a point, but,
That's probably one of the reasons, like, one of the reasons I never had kids. I didn't want to have to deal with the other parents.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, there's a whole...
Hey, how old is your kid? Oh, he's 3? Oh, man, that's tough, isn't it? Oh, man, mine runs me around like crazy. Me and the wife, we don't know what to do with ourselves anymore. Like, how about your son? Oh, is he going to, you know what? Don't give him that. I mean, my son ate those things and he got sick. Your son eat those things? Oh my God, it's the worst ever. Hey, what are you guys doing on Saturday? Hey, where are you going? I'd be out of there so fast. Oh my God. I don't want to deal with that at all.
Well, that's what I'm up against next.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm up against.
I can't even imagine what it's like when you go. Because most women thrive with that kind of thing, but I can't even imagine you going to like these parent-teacher conferences and like, getting started up like a group of guys like, hey, you guys catch a football game? Oh, I had to watch it because the kids were getting all crazy. Oh, I know, it was crazy. And then the wife, forget about it. She's making me nachos and she's trying to get my attention away. Oh, can you believe it, Jason? You got that problem too? Oh man,
dude. Okay, so you're
that'd be so.
You're speaking to the choir because there's a family. We go to a park. We ride our bikes to a park real close by. There's a guy there who has 2 or 3 kids, and they always come out with like no clothes on, just underwear, right, and diapers. and no one ever wears shoes, and he always comes out and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, I wanted to finally meet you guys. I see you guys here, and you're kind of the same age group as our kids." And he kept talking. I kind of walked away playing with the kids, and Tina got stuck with him talking. And he comes over later on. He's like, "Hey, I'm Brian." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, Brian. Hi, I'm Jason." And then I kind of like talked to him for a few minutes, and then I was like, "Oh, this guy's weird, man." He just wants to keep talking. I'm like, I don't care. Oh.
I know.
But he was doing the same thing, man. It's fucking crazy.
To me, those are the guys who are like ready to snap.
Yeah, he kind of looks like
they're trapped in that bubble, and they're unhappy, and they're just like one nudge away from keeping people's heads in the refrigerator. He's out there with his kids, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, you're the same age as me. Come over here. You want to listen to my record collection? Oh, fuck that. God's sakes.
So we're dealing with that now, man. It's interesting.
It's enough when every time I get to inkling there's a restaurant in the town that I live outside of, and there's a restaurant. I won't mention any names now because I know people in Costa Rica listen to the podcast. So there's a restaurant that is decidedly American. The expats go there. Okay. Now, Costa Ricans are racist to a degree. If they know a lot of Americans eat somewhere, they don't go there.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there's racism is. You want to talk about racism? Just visit other countries. Like they don't like they're like other people's. Anyway, so I like to go there because they make like good Polish food. They have Polish sausage and they import food. Ooh. It's good. It's good.
That's nice to have
salmon salads. Nice to have once in a while.
Yeah.
But every time I go there, I'll invariably get caught up in conversations with the other people that are there. Now, majority, not all, majority of expats are retirement or retirement age, or at minimum 60.
Okay.
And I get caught up in these fucking conversations about who's stealing from them or what nanny didn't do right or what they're bitching about. And I'm always just kind of like, I like it here. Okay. I don't need to walk into all this crazy negativity,
the drama,
or what chess game you want me to join on Thursdays, or your card game you have on Wednesdays at noon. I am not interested in any of this shit because you guys, I play cards and I've tried it before, but they bitch and they bitch. There's this guy. I don't mind people who bitch if you take action. Okay. But if you bitch and then don't take action, that's when I get irritated. Like there's this guy who pays, so relative currency terms, 10,000 colones is $20, 2-to-1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this guy, I pay on average, my house is, granted it's just me, I pay about $30,000 a month on electricity, which is about $58.
30,000 colones, okay.
Yes, okay, so $58.
Okay.
This guy pays 200,000 colones a month for his electricity.
Wow.
About just under $400 a month. And I'm just like, how did you pay that much money? That's not even.
How do you use that? Yeah.
So I'm telling him what you need to do is you've got to shut everything off in your house, unplug everything, turn off all the breakers, go outside your meter and see if it's still active. If the meter's still pinging, that means people in your neighborhood are draining off your.
They're tied in, yeah.
Happened to me before.
I remember you telling me that story.
Happens to everybody.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, I tried that," and the meter's still pinging. He's like, "Oh," but giving me answers like I know he hasn't tried it.
Right.
Have you had an electricity company come out? Have you tried rewiring? Have you got something in your house? Have you tried changing? Have you done this? But it's not. There's no solution to anything. He's just, it's all a bunch of crap, and everyone thinks I'm rich, and they dump trash in my yard. People can't dump trash in your yard. If you're allowing all this weird shit to happen to you, and if this is all true, why do you even live here? I would have moved to the beach eons ago. Right. Why do you persist? Like, why put yourself in this misery? And I almost think part of it is people who are miserable in the state. If you're miserable in somewhere, whether it's Michigan or Texas or Florida,
you're going to be miserable elsewhere.
You're going to be miserable no matter where you go.
A change of scenery could help.
If you let it.
If you let it. Now, that's the big part. It's all about, being able to mentally get through that. and focus on what's positive. And it's the same thing as like visualizing what you want and being positive and all that kind of stuff. And but if you're negative, you're gonna always be negative unless you turn it around.
But I will. But since we're talking about Costa Rica, I will say that because Costa Rica has socialized medicine to a certain degree, is you can get a lot of drugs you can't get in the States that are not habit forming and helpful. But you also have a very difficult time getting mass access to stuff that is habit forming.
Okay.
So you can get things that help you that you can't get in the States.
Huh.
That actually help with pain, help with sleep, help with things like that. And they're over the counter. You can't buy it in the States. It has to be prescribed to you in the States.
Okay.
But if you're going to get Vicodin or painkillers or things that are potentially habit forming, the physicians here highly regulate that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, we need to adopt that.
So I can go and get there's a shot, I've said it before, there's a shot here called Dolonoburion, which is B12 and a bunch of different things, but when I have like minor back discomfort or pain, I get that, and I get pain relief and I get energy.
Right.
It's awesome. And I can get 3 a week if I want to.
Oh wow.
$8 a shot.
Oh, not bad.
And but if I wanted to go to a doctor and get painkillers, why? Because I've got all these other alternatives.
Right.
And B, they're like, okay, well, we'll take these this week and come back and see how you're doing. Like, it's not just we'll give you 30 days of pain.
Yeah, here's a script for 30 days.
Exactly. Yeah.
See you in the rabbit hole.
Plus nobody can really afford it. Even though it's socialized, you're still paying out of pocket for most of the stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like the appointment, you can go to the appointment and the doctor appointment's free. If you get prescribed drugs, you go and pay for those and so on and so forth.
So you got to pay for somewhere.
Of course you're going to pay for something.
You got to pay for somewhere.
Government's not it's not a capitalized business or whatever I say.
Right.
So, but there's so much available to you here that is legal that you can just buy. You don't have to start seeking out all these habit-forming, damaging drugs. They're not into it. You know? Yeah, they're just not. I remember, my doctor comes to my house. When I was super, super sick, she just gave me a steroid shot. Do you know what I would have to go through in the States to get a steroid shot?
No, they actually do that. They don't give you shots, but they give you steroids. Tina's gotten them several times for different things.
Yeah, and I've got to prove, and I've got to give them my insurance card.
Oh, of course.
And it's got to be a provider in my network.
Oh yeah.
And then I've got to go to this. Then I've got to go to this doctor, and then you know what I mean. Or
here, the healthcare is fucked up, anyways. Yeah, it's fucked up.
I'm like, hey, can you just come to the house and help me out? Yeah, of course.
Right.
You know.
No, see that's a whole different world, man.
That's another hour.
Yeah, that's exactly. And speaking of that, we're over 3 hours now.
All right. Well, if you've listened this long, hope you enjoyed our little chat.
Absolutely.
Up there in Aronofsky. Yeah.
So the good thing is Craig is going to be should we say that? Can I say that?
I might be, yeah.
Yeah. So Blade Runner comes out. Actually, folks, by the time this gets released, Blade Runner will be released. I would really
like that if I do come in town next week and we go see Blade Runner, because it's one of those releases and it fits into our genre mold so well to do a podcast about Blade Runner and release it immediately.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Very cool. Well, I know we have a lot of German listeners right now. You used to live in Germany, didn't you?
See, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Thank you for listening.
But I didn't practice.
Put you on the spot. Okay. Well, we have a lot of Germany.
Thank you.
Dankeschön.
Dankeschön. Deutschlanders. Dankeschön.
There you go. And everyone else out there, don't forget thejaycraig.com. Keep visiting. We're going to have a lot of new stuff coming up on thejaycraig.com very soon. Wherever you listen to us at, if you're anywhere else and you need to watch us on YouTube, we are still on SoundCloud, obviously, and iTunes. And soon we might be trying Libsyn, the other service.
Yes. We may very well do that.
So I hope you're still listening. If you are, hope you enjoyed the show. Craig, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you here. It's been a while.
It'd be nice. I haven't been there since June?
Somewhere around there.
June.
May, I think. May or June, yeah.
June, something like
that. Right. So I'm looking forward to seeing Blade Runner next week, and we'll do another podcast.
Right on, man.
Right on, brother. All right. Bye, everybody.